Dungeon Battle Royale. Since I became a Demon King, I will aim for world domination. Volume 7 by Gachasora. Translated by Infinite Novel Translations. Audiobook by Masquerade at Masquerade. Audiobooks. Arc 10, Chapter 264, Canon's Growth 1. I've been putting together the new information I've obtained thanks to Canon's knowledge. Having reached I guess two pieces of information are especially significant for me. Well, it was Canon and not me who actually raised her knowledge, so I can't say with certainty that I've grasped everything, but the new information covers a wide range of fields. What was amusing to know, although not having any relevant impact at this point: 1. Evolution conditions for Demon King, Fallen Angel. 2. Evolution conditions for Demon King, Dragon. Were probably these two. 1. The evolution conditions for Demon King, Fallen Angel. The Demon King has to kill 100 humans with their own hands. 2. The evolution conditions for Demon King, Dragon. The Demon King has to kill 100 monsters with his own hands. Looking at them now, they sound like easy conditions, but that's stupid. As if any Demon King could have met such conditions without knowing about them in advance. The main point here is that you have to meet those conditions before going through your first evolution. A Demon King evolves for the first time at level 3. Speaking of level 3, back then I was still a newbie as Demon King who didn't know left from right. Many Demon Kings might have defeated invaders through their created subordinates. Even if a pure combat maniac Demon King had repelled all invaders himself, he'd still reach level 3 before killing 100 people. The specifications are way too weird. For the sake of meeting the conditions, you'd need to put the first evolution on hold, choosing Human Demon King, and then work on the killing. By the way, if you choose Human Demon King, you apparently get to choose the evolution path alongside a level up. The mastermind, who came up with this setting, got to be an idiot. It's a blind spot, or rather, it's an unfair setting, isn't it? Theoretically. And I really mean theoretically. A Demon King, who chose Human Demon King and defeated 100 humans, might exist. But 100 monsters would be impossible. Even if you tell me a Demon King can only fight monsters if they reach level 10, allowing them to leave their own domain, or if they wait for the surrounding Demon Kings to reach level 5, allowing them to create kin, which then can be used to send out monsters as invaders. Surviving until then while withholding your own evolution and defeating 100 monsters with your hands is impossible! Exclamation mark. The possibility isn't zero. There are many issues I'd need to resolve, but even if a fallen angel Demon King might be impossible, creating a dragon Demon King might be possible, I think. What's wrong? No, I just thought that a dragon Demon King might be actually possible. You can't raid your re-evolution. Shin-san, your only option from now on is to evolve along the Vampire Demon King line, you know? I do, but I didn't mean myself. I'm no option either though. Obviously, it's that guy who I could make evolve. That guy? Who are you talking about? I forgot his name, but it's that monster cultivation loving Demon King! Exclamation mark. Oh, you mean Demon King Tomio? Tomio? That was his name? Yes. Didn't he introduce himself in front of you, Shin-san? Demon King Tomio. That was the name of the pathetic Demon King who's surrounded by my domain while still being stuck at level 2. But wouldn't it be difficult for Tomio to defeat 100 monsters? That part would be fine if I sent in 100 slimes from my side. Maybe, but even if you sent in slimes, I think Tomio's goblins and wolves would defeat them. Right. Moreover, he'd probably level up before they even defeat 100 of them. If he did, he'll become able to evolve. Furthermore, Tomio hates you from the bottom of his heart, so he'll definitely not listen to anything you tell him. I've a history of having slaughtered Tomio's subordinates, the wolves and goblins he considers to be his precious friends, for the sake of leveling our growth weapons. Remembering the raging Tomio. He won't listen to me even if I tell him to kill the 100 slimes himself and choose Demon King, Human, after reaching level 3, I'm pretty damn sure. Canon, what do you think would happen if I turned Tomio into my subordinate for argument's sake? Since Demon King would vanish as his race once he becomes your subordinate, that option wouldn't work, would it? True. Moreover, he'd lose the skill subordinate creation if he became my subordinate, and that would suck. You want the monsters created by a dragon Demon King as subordinates after all. For the time being, I'll put this matter on hold, I guess. I had voiced out an idea that suddenly struck me, but after considering how difficult it'd be to implement it, I decided to shelve it for the moment. On another note, that information is definitely correct, right? That information as in which? The matter with my body. Ah, you mean your body reaching rank A if you add another 10 BP to it? Yep. This was one of the significant pieces of information I've obtained on this occasion. According to Canon, the evolution path I chose when I hit level 10 seems to give me as Demon King, body plus 40 and a mana plus 10 in places without sunlight. However, the limit is 2 rank ups, body minus 20 and mana minus 20 under the sun. However, the limit is losing 1 rank. This isn't shown on the stats screen, so I guess you can call it masked data, but I seem to currently have 40 BP invested into body. My current body rank is B. 50 BP are necessary to rank up from B to A. In other words, if I allocate another 10 BP into body, it'll go up to rank A. Right now I'm level 27, and I possess 42 BP. So it's easy for me to allot 10 BP to body, but if I level up 2 more times, I'll be able to rank up creation to A. A rank for 10 BP is a bargain, but 10 BP are unexpectedly big at this point. It's 2 level ups, after all. Yep, those have become tough. Recently the path to reaching the next level has become truly long and draggy. If I were to only rely on my subordinates for experience, they'd need to kill enemies in the 10,000s. If it's only small fry, even if I were to kill the small fry myself, I'd still need to kill thousands. But, since Koru has recently reached creation A, he'll give you a lot of experience points once you kill him. The experience points might be big, but the number of such targets is rather low. Well, I think it's about time for them to have noticed what we're doing. The higher the enemy's level, the more experience I can gain from them, but of course the risk goes up in proportion, too. I don't have any places where I can carefreely farm experience points. Moreover, if that information is true, it'll become necessary to be even more careful about how to spend BP. Makes sense. By the way, the information coming from me is true. It's not like I doubted her, but my skeptical words triggered Canon to become upset with her cheeks puffed out. The other significant piece of information I've obtained has been making me rack my brain. Chapter 265, Canon's Growth 2. The other important piece of information I obtained thanks to Canon's knowledge A is the existence of an S rank. The stats start for Demon Kings for me, but she says that S rank is above A rank, which I had always considered to be the highest rank. Why does it go Edgba? And why is S next? What does S mean anyway? According to one theory, it seems to be an abbreviation for Supreme. I'm not Yatoro, but there's no SSR or R above S, right? No. According to the knowledge I obtained, they don't exist, but possibly. But the R mentioned by Yatoro is an abbreviation for air, so it'd be kinda logical for a SSR stat to exist. Canon diligently replies to my childish grumbling. So, the BP required to reach S rank, 100. 100 BP equals 20 levels. The experience points required per level increase with each level, so it's a very, very long path. According to Canon, the experience points required for a Demon King to go up by 1 level is calculated with enemy of same level x current level x 20. The experience points I can get from enemies who are lower than me decrease by 50% with each level of difference. Currently I'm level 27. That means I'd need to defeat 1,458 level 27 enemies, 27 people x 27 by 2, but Canon says the calculation formula gets even more complex. It looks like the necessary experience points increase as you go up in levels by adding factors, or in other words, if you're above level 10, a factor of 2 is added. If you go beyond level 20, a factor of 3, And if you go beyond level 30, you get a factor of 4. I already thought that it's become pretty tough to level ever since I reached level 10, but it had such a retarded setting on top of it all. Huh? Is the mastermind trying to hinder the Demon Kings from leveling? But Demon Kings are also given a part of the experience points their subordinates get, 5%, right? 10% within the domain. Either way, it's way too little. That said, it becomes necessary for me to become even more careful about the way I spend my BP since leveling will get only worse. Canon, how many do you think know this information on this planet? Knowledge information? I wonder. As long as it's not a Demon King with the foresight to bring up an excellent knowledge-specialized subordinate like you, Shin-san, it'll be difficult to obtain the knowledge information. Probably wanting to promote her own value, Canon answers while adding some unnecessary stuff about having foresight and excellent subordinates. Well, considering it normally, no Demon King would be stupid enough to go with a knowledge specialization. And even if they did exist, they'd have perished before reaching knowledge A. Goo, I wonder why. I feel so much spite from your words, Shin-san. Isn't that your imagination? Until moments ago Canon had been looking awfully triumphant, but now she's pulling a face as if having swallowed a bitter pill. That means there are 3 options for the time being. Oh, there it is. Shin-san's famous 3 fingers of, roll up your skirt. Kaiawa. Please forgive me. Seemingly having grown used to this punishment, Canon squeals while looking somewhat happy. Next time I'll have you take that pose in front of Subaru. I'm truly and utterly sorry. Canon shifts to a serious expression, apologizing. The first option is to invest 10 BP into body. In the end, as always, I guess I'll call Subaru over. I'll refrain and stay obedient. So please forgive me. Doesn't this bug understand the meaning behind learning ability? I pull myself together, continuing with my speech. The advantage of this option is the immediate effect. Since I'll become stronger, it'll directly lead to an increase of our overall combat power, and it'll also boost the efficiency of future experience farming. Certainly, right now the number of body holders is limited. The second option is to level up to 29 and raise creation to A. The merit is a drastic increase of the overall military prowess for the Asta Empire. As far as I can tell from observation, there's only 2 Demon Kings in Japan who have creation and alchemy at A rank. The third option is to accumulate BP until level 30, and then raise alchemy to S rank. The advantage here would be me very likely being the one and only person holding alchemy S depending on the future combat powers. This seems to be the most efficient option, but there is no guarantee that I'll live to reach level 39. Around the time you'd reach it, all Demon Kings, who can be described as strong, would have 2 stats at A rank. So it'd be fairly tough to get there. Canon stated her own impressions about my 3 options. For the time being, I'll put this decision on hold, I guess. Figures. In the first place, all options except for the one about body are matters of the future. I'll deal with it depending on the circumstances. Now then, about the main topic. I'd like to keep raising my level just like I've been doing, but what is your take on this, self-alleged strategist? It's going to be hard. You think so? Why? Because of Toyama. Canon replies decisively. Right. If I don't start taking some countermeasures soon, we won't be in time. Currently only 1 Demon King is left alive in the Toyama Prefecture. He's an advanced Demon King with his base located in Kurobe, but the war situation heavily inclines towards the humans. At this rate, all Chaos forces will be gone from Toyama in the near future. As a matter of fact, if you look at the countrywide situation, prefectures liberated by humans and prefectures dominated by Demon Kings like Ishikawa have started to appear here and there. Would the Toyama Prefecture calm down and remain within its boundaries if the humans liberated the entirety of Toyama? No, they very likely start advancing on any of the neighboring prefectures Ishikawa, Niigata, or Gifu. And the prefecture closest to Toyama City, the center of the prefecture, is Ishikawa. In other words, the Asta Empire. In such a case, I'd end up fighting 2 formidable enemies, Koru of Komatsu and the Toyama humans. As might be expected, I'd like to avoid such a situation. What would you do if you had to decide, Canon? I'd immediately destroy Koru. I see. And why is that? You can't call fighting the humans of Toyama and Koru, a demon king with creation an overly smart plan. You've got a point there. Going by the flow of the conversation, I've got a bad feeling. Canon's expression begins to darken due to my response after she's been so confident moments ago. Canon, can I ask you something else? Yes. What is it? Assuming we defeat Koru, what comes afterwards? The much-awaited war against the humans of Toyama. A war against the humans of Toyama, huh? It sure sounds like a reasonable course of events. Right. The war against the humans of Toyama seems like it'd become intense, doesn't it? Undoubtedly. I think it'll become a very harsh battle. Are the humans of Toyama going to be our only enemies, huh? Or to be precise, don't you think that the demon kings and humans of the Fukui prefecture, which lies south of Komatsu, would carefully watch our war with the humans of Toyama? Koru isn't weak by any means. However, I believe it's possible for us to defeat him. The problem lies in what follows next. The bigger a territory becomes, the higher the number of enemies neighboring its borders. Would we be able to defend ourselves if the demon kings or human heroes of Fukui were to invade my domain in the midst of an all-out war against the humans of Toyama? As far as my schedule goes, I plan to invade Toyama after boosting my military power by making creation go up to A rank. However, the surrounding powers won't move as I want them to. I have several plans, but I wonder which I should use. I decided on our actions in the near future. Chapter 266, Heading for an Alliance 1. It's got to be an alliance, huh? I mumble out one of the options I have. Pardon? Next to me, Canon reacts to my muttering. An alliance? An alliance, huh? Did such a special ability exist? Subordinate creation, domain creation, separation, and reign are all special abilities only demon kings have at their disposal. Therefore Canon is probably mistaking it for such a special ability. No, it's not a special ability. It's just a plain, old alliance. With alliance you mean the thing where the parties tie a non-aggression pact and fight a common enemy by cooperating? That's what I mean. Yeah. Since ancient times, countries have used alliances with other countries as strategy during wars. I'd say the Kyosu alliance between Oda and Tokugawa during the Warring States period is a fairly well-known example for this. Also the Sacho alliance. And the other extreme would be the axis between Germany, Italy, and Japan. If you take a closer look at Earth's history without limiting it to just Japan, you'll find many instances where alliances have been formed. But a special ability for alliances, that's no function which would be acknowledged by the world, is it? Indeed. Can you trust them then? I wonder. If both sides have something to gain, I can probably trust the other side as long as their advantages in allying with me don't vanish. Advantages for both sides, huh? So, who do you want to ally with? Canon asks me about the alliance partner while looking like she's not really convinced of this whole idea. Please know, who do you think it could be? Okay. Canon quickly adds as if to forestall my next words. Did she forget that it's my guilty pleasure to play word games? Who would say anything like that? The alliance partner I'm aiming for is Demon King Koru. I answer while feeling irritated by Canon's remark. Demon King Koru? Aren't we in a full-out war with him right now? I'm sure he's totally hating you, Shin-san. You think he'd accept any such talks? Canon unnecessarily emphasizes the part about hating me. Who knows? Going by my estimation, the chances are 50-50. Shin-san, albeit usually belonging to the group of people who're so careful that it turns other people away, you're occasionally pointlessly positive, aren't you? What's with her? Is Canon trying to pick a fight with me? Okay, then let me ask you instead. Do you know a good method to overturn the current situation? For the time being, we are the strongest force in 3 prefectures of the Hokuriku region. That's why. Wouldn't it be fine to aim for advancing the invasion while relying on power and expanding our combat forces even further as we've done until now? Is that supposed to be the opinion of someone who plans to become a strategist? I sigh deeply at the idiot in front of me. Yes, I'm the strategist of the Asta Empire. Canon demonstrates a fine example for pointlessly positive thinking. Strategist Canon, tell me about the situation around us. The prefectures south, Komatsu and Kaga, is ruled by Koru. 90% of the neighboring Toyama prefecture has been liberated by humans. The remaining demon king of Kurobe is desperately resisting the human onslaught. Canon frantically answers. What's the situation with Fukui Prefecture? The Fukui Prefecture still has various powers vying for supremacy. The Demon King's influence is strong in the prefecture's south. The center of the prefecture is in the firm hands of the humans, and they're somewhat dominating in the prefecture's north at the moment. How about Gifu Prefecture? Let's see. Great numbers of humans have been flowing into the prefecture, fleeing the Ichi Prefecture as it's the influence sphere of Demon King Hyade, one of the 13 evil stars. With that being part of the reason, it's become almost fully ruled by humans. How about Nagata Prefecture? I still haven't grasped the information of the Nagata Prefecture. I'm going to investigate it right away. No need. We won't need the information about that prefecture for a while to come yet. Why did you ask then? Canon protests with a sulky look. What I want to tell you is to predict the future. I'm doing that. Isn't that the very reason why I've been investigating the situation in our neighborhood? Canon objects while waving her hands and legs around. Who? In that case, let me ask you something. Who was the strongest among those we've fought so far, huh? If you're asking about who gave us the most trouble, it'd be Alyssa, I'd say. But the one we're currently struggling with is Koru, I think. Correct. A part of it stems from us maintaining the status quo for the sake of leveling. But if it comes to taking him down completely, it'd probably be quite challenging. Going by that point of view, which power gave us the second most trouble? If you're talking about difficult as in taking down, then it'd be the Kenzao Liberation Army. Correct. What's the answer that can be derived from those two? Koru is a demon king. The Kenzao Liberation Army were humans, so the strategies and ways of fighting are completely different. What could it be? The question is whether the numbers, the combat forces are big? Canon asks me with upturned eyes, groping for an answer. Big combat forces, huh? In a certain sense, you're not wrong. The common point in the relation with us by those two powers lies in both having been forces we fought just recently. In other words, the more time passes, the bigger the forces we have to face. But we're becoming stronger as well. That's true. In a certain sense, the one with the biggest growth will win. And what becomes a problem with that is whether there's a difference in growth up until now. That's be it humans or demon kings. The surviving powers are desperate to stay alive in the future, and they've fully adapted to this broken world. In short, the future won't hold any battles that can be won easily anymore. Is that the reason why you want to form an alliance? Canon, who's become depressed, tries to go back to the original topic. What do you think are the main reasons for our Asta Empire having expanded up until this point? Why have we survived up until now? Your strategies, which might as well be called clairvoyance. If I could truly foresee the future, I'd have handled things a lot smoother. There exist several reasons. Luck is one reason, and strategies working out successfully is another. But the most important reason, I explain my analysis of the Asta Empire's development to Canon. Chapter 267, Heading for an Alliance 2. The most important reason is our location. Our location? Fortunately, I became a demon king in Ishikawa Prefecture. This prefecture is adjoined by the ocean on its northern and western sides. Hence I could focus on defending the southern and eastern sides. I see. Even in a certain warring states game, playing the daimyo of the southernmost Kyushu or the daimyo of Tohoku was the easiest. After all, it was simple to set up defenses, making it easy to come up with strategies. For the same reason Ishikawa was advantageous in the initial phase, but if we advance south, towards Fukui, My domain will stretch out vertically, and if we aim for Toyama, the east, the domain will stretch horizontally. Stretching out your own territory leads to more enemies touching upon its borders. If the future enemies are going to have military forces similar to the Kainzao Liberation Army or Koru, we probably won't lose in a one-on-one fight. Quite so. In reality we're going to win for sure. But what if it's 1 versus 2? But how about trying to get them to fight each other like we did when he confronted the Kainzao Liberation Army and Koru? It's not set in stone that we'd be cornered into the inferior position of a 1 versus 2, is it? Canon states her view after brooding it over. Is it really going to work out like that? I reply to Canon with an evil smile on my lips. In my case, the enemy of my enemy can't become my ally. Rather, everyone is an enemy. Kainzao Liberation Army and Koru are mutual enemies. But what about further down the line, huh? Looking at the map, Canon notices the obvious. Demon kings are hostile towards each other. Demon kings and humans are hostile towards each other. But humans are allied. Currently the humans of Fukui, Gifu, and Toyama are fighting with the goal of liberating their own lands as separate organizations. But the common point shared by the humans of Fukui, Gifu, and Toyama is them not being hostile towards each other. The painting of the map is misleading. The map spreading out in front of me had been colorized depending on the respective forces in the area to make the differences easier to see. The reason why Canon guessed wrongly lay in the various powers being separated by different colors. But, Shin-san, you were the one who told me to do it for an easier visual distinction. For this reason I'm considering forming an alliance for the sake of gaining a locational advantage once more. I go on with the talk, ignoring Canon's nonsense. I've understood the reason for tying an alliance, but is Koru going to go along with the proposal of an alliance? Koru hates you. Badly. Really, really badly, you know? Canon questions me while obviously putting her own emotions into her words. Is that so? Right now, I think that Koru would be the only power able to form an equal alliance with me in this world. In the first place, alliances aren't guaranteed by the logic of the world. Its system. Quite so. That's why I think it'd be difficult. But don't you think there's room for consideration, if both sides gain something out of it? The alliance I am going to propose, Koru, is going to be one of equal partners. An alliance of equal partners? It'll be a simple alliance of equals, where we conclude a non-aggression pact. I get that part, but is Koru going to accept that? Probably because of Canon's extreme distrust towards other people. She seems to be rather reluctant about this whole alliance idea. Canon, currently our Aster Empire and Demon King Koru share a hostile relationship, right? Yes. Which side dominates the war's progress? Overwhelmingly our forces. Right. Exactly, because it's a situation where we're overpowering his side by a huge margin. It's very likely for Koru to form an alliance with us. Are you going to rely on your strong point of threatening others, Shin-san? Every once in a while I wonder what Canon is actually thinking of me. I won't use threats, but negotiations. Oh, I got it. There's going to be threats under the pretext of negotiations. So this bug has been that much of an idiot? That's totally rude. I wonder which of us is the rude one. What did I say about the nature of the alliance I want to form with Koru just moments ago? An alliance of equals? In spite of being in an extremely advantageous position in the war, I'm going to offer Koru an alliance of equals. Why? Proposing an alliance means negotiating. During negotiation you try to make the other party concede by adding all kinds of conditions in order to make your position as favorable as possible. That's the basics of negotiating. Yes, for example, in the past, a certain fairy demon king offered herself to me for the sake of survival. I give her an example she should understand without any problems. Was that fairy demon king a lovely fairy with a keen foresight? She wasn't lovely, but her future looked bleak as she had erred on how to spend her BP. However, seeing how she's still alive, she might have had some foresight. Oh my? Are you praising her? Or are you actually bad-mouthing her? Seeing how we're going to offer an alliance from our side, just like the bug who had offered her life, The negotiations won't succeed if we don't offer something from our side. She turned into a bug after having been a fairy? What you offered while being in an extremely bad position was yourself. But what I, as someone holding an overwhelmingly superior position, offer, even though it was just a pseudonym for my name to be used here, is an alliance of equals. Because I'm in a superior position, an alliance of equals should have an extremely high merit for Koru. Is it no option to recommend surrender? If I could get him to accept a surrender, it'd rectify a consideration, but currently an alliance would still be the better option. But, if he surrenders, you can tie him down with orders. No, there won't be any fear of him backstabbing you, you know. Leaving aside the huge amount of work it'd require to make him surrender, the only merit of him surrendering to me would be my authority of absolute orders. In that case, what do you think would be a merit of forming an alliance that would go beyond the value of making him surrender? I tossed that question at Canon with a mean smile. Chapter 268, Heading for an Alliance 3. A bigger merit than making him surrender? Canon is clearly bewildered by my question. Right. By the way, the demerit is the possibility of getting betrayed. I could have also told you about that demerit. Merit. Let's see. It's easier than making him surrender. I mean, getting him to surrender is going to require time since you need to corner him a bit more. At the same time, we'll keep suffering losses. There's the saying, time is money, so that'd be a huge merit. Canon keeps her words coming while frantically thinking. Speaking about the current situation, a time reduction would be a huge advantage. Yeah, but my approach is a different one. Please tell me without teasing me. In my eyes, the biggest advantage to form an alliance lies in the CP. CP? Canon becomes puzzled by my response. Is it so unexpected? CP means, if we're allied, Koru remains a demon king, so we won't need to create the subordinates necessary for defense from our side. Is that the line of thinking here? For the most part, yes. But, if you make him surrender, Koru's sectors will become yours, so won't your maximum CP increase accordingly? Isn't CP in proportion to Koru's level possibly a nice bargain? Koru's estimated level was 24, wasn't it? Certainly, 2,400 CP might be big. But, you won't be able to freely use that CP, will you? 2,400 CP is a lot, but isn't the CP you can freely use in proportion to the gained sectors a much bigger advantage? Canon is liable to be seen as an idiot, but she does have some bright moments. She desperately contradicts my answers. How many sectors does Koru possess? 70. So it'd be 7,000 CP I can freely use versus 9,400 CP I can't use freely. The former certainly has some charm to it, I'd say, doesn't it? Just this time the strategist of the Aster Empire, Canon, is clearly the winner here. Receiving an agreement for her view, Canon flies around the air while awfully happy. Winner Canon. What do you think Koru is going to do with those 9,400 CP I wouldn't be able to freely use? Wouldn't he invest them into the maintenance of his domain or creating items and subordinates for his defense? It'd be a different story if Koru was some random addict like a certain geezer, but he's very likely going to spend his CP for the maintenance of his domain. Likewise, isn't it better to have a lot of power for defense? But, Shin-san, you're forgetting one thing. Canon points a finger at me as if striking a decisive pose. Don't point fingers at others. What is it? Out with it. Koru's alchemy rank is B. On the other hand, your alchemy rank is A. In other words, it'd be more worthwhile for you to be able to use it as you like. If you're bringing that up, you could also say that his creation rank is A while mine is B, right? But, being able to freely use the CP is definitely a lot more convenient. Canon skillfully stamps her feet in the air. I've understood your view on this. Then, what about the following train of thought? What is it? What's my current total CP? 26,000. My current level is 27, and I currently own 233 sectors, so she's right. Assuming I'd be defending the entire Ishikawa prefecture and made Canon surrender to me, How much CP would I have? I don't quite understand the precondition of assuming I'd be defending the entire Ishikawa prefecture, but it'd be 33,000 CP. Next, how much CP would it be if I formed an alliance with Koru under the assumption of defending the entire Ishikawa prefecture? So that's what you're going for. In other words, if you add Koru's CP to your 26,000 CP, it'll be 35,400 CP. Is that what you mean? No. A. B. But 26,000 plus 9,400 adds up to 35,400. Canon fixes her calculations, which she has diligently written down on paper. Your way of thinking is wrong. Huh? How? What do you mean? The correct answer is 26,000 plus 9,400. In short, 35,400. No, it's 26,000 plus 9,400. You lost me. Canon is confused. Canon, what are the ways to use CP? Broadly you can split it into domain creation, subordinate creation, and item creation. Anything else? Random creation, making kin, and also reign and separation. Correct. All of them are special rights only available to demon kings. What do you think is the difference between the former, domain creation, subordinate creation, and item creation, and the latter, random creation, contract, reign, and separation? The difference between former and latter? I see. So that's why 26,000 plus 9,400. It looks like Canon has finally reached my conclusion. The difference between former and latter is the amount of CP consumption. Former uses a fixed amount of CP depending on the item type, facility, or subordinate, while the latter always uses all CP. And I need to do the latter's random creation regularly for the sake of boosting the motivation of a silly subordinate, contract. The ability to make bloodkin is something I need to use often to increase the number of subordinates I can send outside my domain. Therefore, keeping Koru's and my CP split allows me a higher yield going beyond the simple numerical values. I got it. If you consider the upcoming war against the humans of Toyama, making kin will become essential. Moreover, an alliance has another advantage, though I won't spell it out. It's an emotional relief. Ultimately it's an emotional reason, but I feel mortified when my subordinates die for my sake. But if it's Koru's subordinates, monsters I've never seen or spoken with, my sense of loss is going to be zero. In case I'd make him surrender, his sectors that are facing Fukui would become an important strategic defense position. In such a case, it'd be necessary for me to deploy strong subordinates over there, and depending on the circumstances, it'd entail the risk of them dying. It's not like I'm particularly attached to my subordinates, but since it's somewhat an emotional reason, I decided to not voice it out. Chapter 269, Heading for an Alliance. For this reason I'm going to suggest an alliance to Demon King Koru, starting now. Now? It's said to make hay while the sun shines. No? Sure. But isn't it a bit too sudden? Canon argues in panic just as I'm about to take action. Okay, so when should I do it? Tomorrow? The day after tomorrow? Now that you're asking, is anything going to change by tomorrow or by the day after tomorrow? The only thing that's going to change are the battle situations around us. At the very least it's necessary for me to make my move before the humans of Toyama unify their entire prefecture. Besides, today none of our teams is invading Koru's domain, right? Oh, so that's the reason why you forbade invasions for today. Meaning the result of our earlier conversation was already decided from the get-go. If you had worked out a strategy surpassing mine, it might have changed the result. But the result was just as always. One day I'll make you say that I'm strategist Canon of the Asta Empire. Ollie? Well, do your best. With a sidelong glance at Canon who's burning with pointless combativeness while clenching her fists, I decide to go ahead with my preparations. First up is contacting Yatoro. I'd say, I select Yatoro's number on my smartphone and press the call button. Yatoro here. Is something the matter? I'll now go to Koru's domain while taking the main force's bloodkin with me. Who? I haven't heard anything about any such plans, but who are you going to take with you? All bloodkin of the main force except you. Huh? Everyone? Does that include Izayoi as well? 24 people can invade his sectors, so to give you a precise answer, I'll take Rina, Kotetsu, Takaharu, Hibiki, Subaru, Kazuki, Kakulane, Chloe, Layla, Blue, Iron, Red, Dakel, Abel, Kane, Gate, Noir, Rouge, and 5 suitable members of Subaru's corps with me. That's a full house of main force members. Are you going to crush him at last? No. The objective is to propose an alliance. Huh? Propose an alliance, you say? I see. So, what do you need from me? I leave my domain to you while I'm out. Ho ho ho, if it's an alliance proposal, it won't take that much time. He's certainly going to get on board with it. I finished my call with Yataro. I'm going to stay back as usual, right? Canon feels down as always. It's just a precaution for any unlikely events. I'm happy that you're giving my safety such a high priority. But isn't it a tad excessive to go with all of those members? It might be, but I'm heading over myself. Thus I can never have enough combat power with me. If I'm killed, everything goes down the drain. Seeing as I'm going to move myself, the idea of excessiveness when it comes to the combat forces accompanying me doesn't apply. I use my telepathy to summon the members who are going to accompany me, and begin moving to Koru's domain. Section. It's a discussion, right? Any need for me to participate in that? Hi, Takuaki, seriously? You're such a muscle brain. Sarah immediately teases Takaharu, who whines on the way. TSK. Stuff it, woman. Come to think of it, has anyone ever seen Koru? Not me. I haven't either. I also haven't seen him yet. No one has seen Koru so far. The only thing we know is that he's a devil demon king. The chatting ends here. We're going to arrive anytime soon now. Sure. We arrived at the sector of Koru, which is the closest to my domain. So, what are we going to do now? Aim for the deepest part? Kotetsu asks me as we step into the sector. We won't do anything so bothersome. I'll do this. I breathe in very deeply, and while looking up to the empty ceiling, my name is Shion. I have come here with the intention of holding negotiations. Demon King Koru, can you hear me? We will wait here for 1 hour. If you are going to accept negotiations, show me a suitable response. A demon king can observe the situation in their own domain in real time. Thus my voice should have reached Koru with a fairly high probability. Now then, I wonder how Koru is going to move. Noir, Rouge, take out the things I told you to bring. I asked Rouge and Noir to prepare a carpet, food and drinks in advance. Okay, time to treat ourselves to a refined tea party. I began a tea party with my subordinates inside the enemy domain. Section. I don't see any booze. Obviously not. Today's objective are negotiations. Ain't it common sense to put out booze on such occasions? I've never heard of such common sense. And even if such a custom existed, you wouldn't drink the alcohol before the negotiations, would you? TSK. Don't be so stuffy, man. The dumb Takaharu goes wild. I think, isn't this place way too tasteless for a picnic? Our goal here isn't a picnic. For now, let's sing. Why would you sing now? In such a case, it might be presumptuous of me, but allow me to. No, going after you, Hibiki, would be like super hard mode. Moreover, I wouldn't be able to cope with you suddenly undressing while sober. The dumb Sarah also goes wild, and for some reason, Hibiki tries to start undressing. I might have made a mistake in my escort. Just when I was starting to feel such a regret, what did you people come here for? A red imp with small wings asks us after having appeared without any of us noticing. A familiar of Demon King Koru? Indeed. I'm Koru-sama's first kin, Magdal Koru. So, what is your objective in coming here? The imp, Magdal, repeats his question towards me. I believe I told you right after entering the domain, but it's negotiations. Negotiations? Are you going to tell us to surrender just like we do when starting a reign against the humans? What would you do, assuming I'd agree? Granted, they intend to answer the demand for surrender, Not only an alliance, but insubordination would be an option, too. The answer would be no. We'd like you to leave then. McDull refuses politely, I said, assuming. Didn't I? So what is your real intent? Koru-sama doesn't hate word games, but he hates you. He said he hates you, Shinaki. Master. Hate is also a part of liking. Even abuse can turn into pleasure at some point. Shut up. From now on you're forbidden to speak up without my permission. Sorry, it got a bit too noisy. Anyway, my main intent is to ask whether you want to form an alliance. Didn't you hear me? It's an alliance. I've heard you. I'm waiting for Koru-sama's reply. How cumbersome. Hey, Demon King Koru. How about you meet me in person so that we can talk it out since I'm here anyway? You're asking Koru-sama to come to such a dangerous place? Dangerous place, you say? You do realize that this is Demon King Koru's domain, right? McDull shifts his attention to my subordinates behind me, and bears his anger. I know all of them. They're all monsters we regard as dangerous. Is that so? The main reason for us being forced into an inferior position are the monsters over there. Who? So, what's Demon King Koru's answer? He's saying he's going to come here. I see. I guess you'll allow us to wait here for a while longer then. It took 10 minutes while we were exposed to McDull's glare, which was filled with murder. Nice to meet you, Demon King Shion. The pleasure is on my side. Demon King Koru. A silver-haired boy with red eyes, Koru showed up while escorted by a huge amount of monsters. Chapter 270, Heading for an Alliance 5. Isn't that a rather big gallery you've brought with you considering that we're going to have a discussion? I shift my eyes to the countless monsters behind Koru. The same applies to you, don't you think? The monsters escorting you are extremely dangerous. In contrast, Koru shifts his eyes to my subordinates. Well, whatever. Let's get down to the main topic. Won't you form an alliance with me? Alliance? What would that entail in specifically, a non-aggression pact, first and foremost. A non-aggression pact, now after all this time, is something I'd love to ask. But is it truly just that? That's the only condition from my side. Yes. Koru looks at me full of distrust. That's your only condition? Seriously? Is something wrong with that? It's just, I don't understand your real motive. My real motive? I just want to avoid pointless strife and prepare myself for other threats. Other threats? You mean the humans? It's impossible for us to form alliances with the humans, right? Don't you hate me? The curse cast on demon kings and mankind by the mastermind makes the humans hate demon kings and the demon kings hate each other. I myself hate the demon king in front of me, Koru, quite a bit. However, it's a hatred I can suppress. I'd be lying if I said that I don't hate you. And yet you want to form an alliance with someone you hate? If it's necessary for the sake of survival, if it was hatred where neither side can understand the other, reign and capitulation wouldn't work in the first place. That means, the hatred that was planted in us is weaker than our instinct for survival. For the sake of survival, huh? In that case, it makes even less sense. I could have understood it if I had been the one to offer you an alliance for the sake of survival. But, isn't it weird for you to offer me an alliance for the sake of survival? At least that's how I perceive our power relationship here. Koru has become a boy, but his intelligence is far higher than that of my noisy subordinates behind me. That's why I told you that it's for the sake of preparing for other threats, didn't I? We don't believe that we'll be destroyed by you. I see. Is it fine for me to check one thing with you? What is it? Do you mean an alliance of equals? I was hoping for an alliance of equals. Yes. Even though we're inferior to you? Even if I demanded you to become my subordinate, you'd refuse, right? Indeed. You're surely not going to suggest that we should become your subordinates, are you? Therefore, the only option we have left is to form an alliance of equals, don't you think? A non-aggression pact, was it? You don't have any terms besides that? It sounds like Koru still can't quite trust my words. He piles up question after question with an expression as if he's sounding me out. Right now that's the only condition I'm demanding. I see. For how long? How long? I didn't think about that. How long would be good? Until I take over Toyama? It's a difficult question. Do you have any preferred time limit? You're leaving the decision to me? That depends on the length of the time limit. Okay. Let's see. How about a probational month for starters? Afterwards, we could talk it over again to decide whether we're going to extend it for a month, half a year, or a year. How about that? Analyze the time limit suggested by Koru. There are two things I understood from our conversation so far. First, Koru is unlikely to turn down the alliance. Second, Koru is smarter than his appearance suggests. Is something the matter? Do you have any problems with the time limit presented by me? No, that's not the issue. Why are you contemplating then? It's just, how old are you, huh? How's that related to anything? No, forget it. Sorry. I have no problem with the time limit, because Koru looks just like an elementary schooler. I ended up unintentionally speaking my mind. In that case, to sum it up, we're going to form an alliance between you and me. We'll be equals with none of us being superior or inferior. The alliance entails a non-aggression pact. It'll last for 1 month. After 1 month, we'll talk once more to decide on the next time limit. Did I miss anything? No, that's all. Shit. Before I noticed it, he took the initiative from me. Can I ask you one thing? Go ahead. Demon King Koru, going by the flow of our conversation. You don't mind me assuming that you'll accept forming an alliance, right? Yep, that's right. As long as you can keep the conditions I mentioned just now. I think it's all right for me to go along with your proposal, the creation of an alliance. It's great that we've come to. Hey, wait a second. The issue is whether you can truly keep those conditions, isn't it? I don't like how he keeps snatching the initiative, but I've achieved my goal. Just when I felt relieved about it, Koru came up with a new issue. Certainly, unlike reign or capitulation, the alliance this time doesn't have the compelling force of an ability backing it. I guess we have no choice but to trust each other. Can you trust me? If you ask me that, I'll lose some of my confidence. But even if you revoked our agreement after forming an alliance for argument's sake, your side would have more disadvantages from it, right? I understand. So basically you're saying, you're giving this alliance a try because you have nothing to lose anyway. And if it doesn't work out, you can simply destroy us. Right? To put it bluntly, that's how it is. In that case, even if you revoke it, your damage will be small, but if I revoke it, the damage will be big. How is this equal? What do you want to do about it then? Koru reveals a daring smile. You're smart. That only sounds like sarcasm out of your mouth. You've added a new aspect to the ways of demon kings, which I believe to be limited to killing and stealing from each other. Okay, and what's the main issue? You might form alliances with demon kings other than me in the future. It's a possibility, yes. Accordingly, I have one proposal. What is it? Let's announce this alliance between you and me to the whole world. As for the name, let's see. How about Ishikawa Alliance? It's boring, but easy to understand, right? Ishikawa Alliance. Announce it to the world. I see. I've grasped Koru's aim. Going by your expression, it looks like you've grasped what I wanted you to understand. Announcing it to the world. In other words, if one of us betrays the other, the betrayer will be labeled as such by the world. This could become a huge disadvantage in their future activities. That's the idea, right? Correct. As I thought. You're a smart guy. So, are you going to accept my proposal? I haven't planned to backstab him in the first place. After all, it's an alliance where I want Koru to act as my breakwater. If he becomes uncontrollable, it'll be fine to simply let the alliance run out. Considering it like that, it's convenient that we've added a time limit earlier. I'll go along with that proposal. That's great to you. It means we're allied. Koru holds a hand out towards me. Yes, we are. I grasp his hand. Now that we've concluded an alliance, would it be all right for me to make another suggestion? Another suggestion? I brought up a suggestion I came up with on the spot. Chapter 271, Heading for an Alliance 6. No, Koru. Your creation is A, right? Correct. Come to think of it, Shion. Your creation was B, wasn't it? That's true. And my alchemy is A. Ha, so it's that kind of suggestion, eh? My alchemy is B, so yeah. Koru answers with a smile. It looks like he fully understood what I'm suggesting from our conversation just now. Yep. As I thought, this guy is smart. What are we going to do about the rate? We are of equal standing. In that case, the rate should be fair, right? Indeed. Right. It's fine to continue talking here, but how about I invite you to a calmer place, if you like? Koru looks back, pointing his eyes inside his domain. No, this place is close to the exit, so it'll do. You distrust me to such an extent? We just need to build a mutual trust from now on, right? You got a point. Koru readily agrees, as if having anticipated my reply. Hey, what are they talking about? Will I get a turn as well? Seeing how they shook hands. That's, very unlikely. Aren't they way too chummy? Shinaki times Kuroki, huh? That could totally fly. Fly? Like how? Like, on an emotional level. Okay, but like how? The idiots behind me start to kick up a fuss. I'm enjoying a sophisticated conversation here, and yet those morons are completely spoiling it. Shut up. Sorry. My subordinates are, ahaha. The strength of your subordinates is outside any norm, but the same can be said about their individuality, eh? I'm truly sorry. Hahaha. Don't worry. It makes you a lot more trustable than a demon king who rules through fear. How about you explain it to them since we've got a chance now? Koru laughs cheerfully. TSK Takaharu, first off, you won't get any turn this time. Is what I can assume to be correct, right? Towards the end I shift my eyes towards Koru, looking for his confirmation. Yep, that aligns with my interests. Koru replies with a smile. Next, Koru and I are currently talking about my suggestion of trading. Trading? A trade between my created items and Koru's created subordinates. Ooh. Slave trade, just what you'd expect of demon kings. Kinda like trading Sabru for a wooden stick. My value is a lot higher. Takaharu coins are trading with a rather disturbing term. Sarah tries to sell off Sabru with Sabru loudly protesting about her low estimate. I can trade the vampire over there for a wooden stick. Dream on. Besides, my side of the deal are items, right? Or, how regrettable. It'd be a quite charming trade offer for me. Though Shinsama, I've heard your passionate feelings towards me loud and clearly, and I accept them on all accounts. Damn it. The conversation keeps derailing. For the time being, you geese stay silent. I order my dumb subordinates, and get back to the main topic. Okay, let's start talking about the details then. I wish for it to become a trade both of us can accept. The negotiations with Koru begin. First, the rate. It's fine to go with an equivalent exchange, right? You mean as in B-rank items for B-rank subordinates, and A-rank items for A-rank subordinates? You got it. I have no problem with that. There's one more demand from my side. What would that be? Koru, your alchemy is B, right? Yep. Then you wouldn't need any items that can be created at Alchemy B, would you? I'd say so, yes. In such a case, it'd be alright to limit the trading to A-rank items and subordinates, correct? I see. Sure. After pondering about it for a short moment, Koru agrees to my restriction. However, this suggestion isn't all that nice and shiny as it might seem. What I'll offer are items. On the other hand, Koru is going to offer subordinates. Koru just needs to accept the items, but I have to turn the subordinates into bloodkin. Just accepting one costs me all my CP, thus it's only natural for me to aim for as high-ranked subordinates as possible. Lastly, are we going to do the trading right away, or should we make lists of what we can offer each other and move the trading to another day? I think another day would be best. Okay. I exchanged telephone number and email address with Koru as we had decided to postpone the actual trading to another day. Section. Welcome back. Did the alliance work out? Once I returned to my domain, Canon rushed straight over to me. Yes, we've got an alliance. Ooh. That's great to hear. And, were you able to successfully lead Koru around by the nose? I wonder about that. I smile wryly as I recall the negotiations with Koru. Then I told Canon about the state of the negotiations with Koru. He was quite witty and smart, wasn't he? If we had continued to fight him, we might have suffered heavier losses than expected, I think. For Koru to make you speak so highly of him. It's the appearance of my rival. Ha? Eh? Well, whatever. For starters, select the items that can be created at Alchemy A, and send the list to this mail address. Okay. Leaving aside the unique items, should I conceal the existence of the sacred treasures? Unique items have been available since Alchemy B. It'd probably be pointless to hide them. The sacred treasures, huh? No, you can also list the sacred treasures we have over, huh? You're going to tell him about those? Highlight them as featured trade items. Okay. If all goes well, we might be able to exchange a sacred treasure for a unique subordinate. Unique subordinates. Those are very powerful subordinates you can create after your creation reaches a rank. Do you know the number of unique subordinates that can be created at Creation A? I do. There's 8 of them. Do you know what kind of subordinates they are? Let's see. An offensive type, a defensive type, a mana type, a balance type, a growth type, a weapon type, and 2 special ability types, I think. Canon answers based on the information of knowledge, but it's all kind of vague. What's a growth type? A species with a plethora of possible evolutions. And the weapon type? A species extremely skilled at handling weapons. And the special ability types? I don't know what kind of types they are for Devil Demon Kings, but if it's Fairy Demon Kings, it looks like they can create a species specialized on healing, and one specialized on enemy detection. I see. Unique subordinates, eh? I'd love to have one by all means. I put a list of the items our side can offer into a mail and sent it. Then I waited for Koru's response. Chapter 272, Heading for an Alliance 7. The melody informing me of the arrival of a new mail plays. Once I check the smartphone's display. It's from Koru. Is it okay for me to confirm something before I send you my list? What is it? I sent a concise reply. It looks like the unique items cover all types, but is that really alright with you? The unique items have 3 subtypes for each kind, totaling to 81 items, but my list contained the weakest subtype of each unique item type, except for the spear type. When your alchemy is at B rank, you can create 1 unique item for each weapon, armor, or accessory type. Koru might not know that you can create 3 subtypes per kind once your alchemy reaches A rank. I guess I'll mislead him here by pretending to be kind. No problem. As additional information for you, I haven't included the spear to my list. I use spears as my preferred weapon of choice, so it'll be impossible for me to answer any trade requests for spears. I weave in a bit of truth for good measure. Your kindness is really scary, Shion. Don't worry. A suitable compensation is indispensable when trading. A suitable compensation, eh? That only made it even scarier. Is it okay for me to ask another question? What is that sacred treasure mentioned in the list? Special feature. Without any explanation? An explanation, huh? I weigh the merits and demerits of providing an explanation in my head. I guess it's not much of a problem to tell him. Sacred treasures are special items you can create once your alchemy reaches A rank. If I'm going to describe their nature, I think it'd be easiest to understand if I call them growing items. Growing items? Are those limited in number? Yes, they are. To be precise, you can only create 1 of each kind. Can I choose the type? No, that's impossible. The only one I can hand over is the Great Sword. I worried about which sacred treasure I should put on the list, but after taking my subordinates' equipment into account, I chose the Great Sword, which has the least users among my subordinates. I see. Is that the reason why you splurged so much on the unique items? Is there any need for me to be as kind as to answer that? You're my first alliance partner, you know? I think you could treat me a tiny bit more kindly. Is it okay for me to ask another question? You sure have a lot of questions. I still haven't received your list though. Sorry. This is going to be my last question. So, what is it? If I said I want a sacred treasure, you'd demand a fitting compensation, right? That's going to be your last question? No, Shion. Do you know about the subordinates that can be created once your creation reaches A rank? Koru is indirectly asking me whether I'm aware of unique subordinates. Now then, how should I answer that? Are you talking about unique subordinates? Ah, so you did know about them. As I'd expected, although I didn't think that information about them has spread much yet. Where did you hear of them? On a locked forum of Laplace, or do you possess a high knowledge, Shion? The earlier question was your last one. No? Or what do you want me to think of an alliance partner who easily breaks his own promises? Sorry. This has been my mistake. I'll apologize while at the same time withdrawing my questions just now. I'll answer just one of them. The locked forum of Laplace, the Upper Demon King Lounge, doesn't contain any information about unique subordinates. If Koru misinterprets my knowledge rank to be high with this, it'll be beneficial to me, but in the end, it won't be much more than a feint. Thank you for your sincere interaction with me. Very well, then I'll also tell you my true opinion. I can't agree with a trade between a unique subordinate and a sacred treasure. Of course, the same applies to a trade between unique subordinate and unique items as well. I didn't anticipate that he'd turn me down. A unique subordinate's such mighty assets. Shit. It just makes me want one myself even more. However, the negotiations are going to start now. I cannot afford to simply go along with his conditions. In that case, I won't be able to offer you any unique items or sacred treasures either. That'd make sense. I guess I wasn't clear enough about what I meant. It'd be more correct for me to say that I cannot accept a one-on-one trade of one unique subordinates for one sacred treasure or unique item. Koru has apparently shifted to negotiating. You mean to say you're going to trade unique subordinates if you get several items per subordinate? Isn't that naive of you? It's no naivety. We've agreed on keeping the trades equal and fair, haven't we? You want to tell me that a unique item that can only be created with alchemy isn't equal to a unique subordinate who can only be created with creation, eh? Yep, they aren't equal at all. Shion, do you know how many unique subordinates I can make? I know since I've heard about it from Canon. The answer would be 8. However, I've no plans to be stupidly honest here. No clue. So you don't know, huh? Figures. If you knew, you wouldn't have suggested such an absurd exchange rate. I'm sure, you've lost me. I can only create 8 unique subordinates, assuming that the number of unique items is the same as what can be created at Alchemy B. There exist 27 types of unique items. If I trust in what you've wrote in your earlier mail, the number of sacred treasure would amount to 27 as well, wouldn't it? Each and every of Koru's words is oozing with cynicism. Having said that, I can sense validity from them. It was my mistake that I honestly, like an idiot, answered him about the number of sacred treasures and gave him a list of all types of unique items. This was a complete failure on my part. So you're saying that one unique subordinate is worth as much as 7 unique items or sacred treasures? Right. That'd be correct, but well, even if you compare them to just one of those 2 types, I still think a unique subordinate is worth more than 3 items. But what's your take on this? Has he talked up the value of unique subordinates and offered a rate of 3 to 1, feeling that it'd be an exceptional deal? Having said that, in that case, we won't come together. Eh? Really? I'm convinced I've already compromised quite a bit by going down to a rate of 3 to 1, you know? I remember the time when I raised my alchemy to A rank. The reason why I raised alchemy and not creation. Creation A and alchemy simply have different rarity values. I don't get what you mean. Are you telling me that raising alchemy to A costs more points than raising creation to A? No, both require 50 points. What I'm talking about is the rarity value of alchemy A. If you look around us, you'll be able to confirm several demon kings with creation A. But, what about demon kings with alchemy A? In short, you're saying the items that can be made with alchemy are very rare? Correct. The probability of being able to turn a unique subordinate into your own, or the likelihood of obtaining an A rank item. Which of those 2 would be lower? What are we going to do about the rate then? Are you saying that unique items have a higher value than unique subordinates? I won't be able to agree with that notion, you know. Just like me, Koru frantically tries to get the best rate for himself. Here's my final offer. I'll trade you one unique subordinate for 2 sacred treasures or unique items. Even this is already me conceding the maximum I can somehow accept in light of you being my ally. If you can't agree to that, we'll have to give up on trading. I decide on a point of compromise. Entering the final stage of the negotiations. A few minutes later, I received mail telling me, all right, I'll accept the rate suggested by you, Shion. I'll also send you the list right away. Chapter 273, Heading for an Alliance 8. The melody informing me of the arrival of a new mail plays. Once I open it, the mail contains a list of the monsters, which will be up for trading, sent by Koru, ? This is quite interesting. Created subordinates, generic, Devil King, a subordinate specialized in magic, Devil Lord, a subordinate specialized in physical attacks, Devil Butler, a subordinate specialized in support. The monsters I can trade for items below unique seem to be those 3 types. What drew most of my attention were the subordinates listed after those 3. Unique subordinates, Belial, a subordinate who can summon devils. Barbatos, a subordinate specialized in enemy detection. The unique subordinates will require 1 sacred treasure and 1 unique item. I'll refuse any trades going below that in value. By the way, for the unique items, my favorite would be the Wanthysis. The runner-up would be Divine Robe. As for the sacred treasures, I'd love to have the wand. Maybe intending to harass me, or maybe because he really wants 1 sacred treasure and unique item each. He's listed 2 unique subordinates alongside some information. The ability to summon devils. Does this mean he can create subordinates even while not being a demon king? He might not have that much value as a subordinate for Koru, who can create devils himself, but for me as someone incapable of creating devils, Belial's value would be immeasurable. I use my smartphone to send a mail. Let me ask some things. What are the devil species Belial can summon? Is there any difference between the devil species Belial can summon and the ones a devil demon king can create? After waiting for a while, Koru sent me a reply. Belial can summon demons. Those are C-rank devils. There's no difference to the demons I can create myself. How many demons can Belial summon? 1 every 4 hours. So 6 demons per day. Huh? Canon. What's the CP cost for creating a demon? I ask Canon telepathically. She frantically comes flying over, and answers, You need 100 CP to create 1 demon. 100 CP? In other words, for Koru, Belial would save him 25 CP per hour. It would have played a role back when we just became demon kings, but nowadays, that's a tiny fraction of our CP income. It feels like the intended use of Belial's ability is to summon a demon in battle and use it as a disposable shield. Now then, which should I choose? I guess I'll try to negotiate since I've got nothing to lose anyway. I have a suggestion. I'll raise the trading rate for the generic monsters from my side. Or to be precise, I'll add 1 orichalcum set per monster. I'll also throw the Divine Robe into the mix as well. So would it be possible for you to trade a unique subordinate for that? What would you answer in my shoes? Generic and unique items. They've got a gap in value that can't be filled, don't they? Koru's answer is somewhat roundabout, but in short, he refuses. I'll need some time to think it over. I inform him via mail. Section. Now then, what should I do about this? I have 3 choices. First, choose Belial. Second, choose Barbatos. And lastly, throw 1 more sacred treasure into the mix, and choose both. The wand sacred treasure, Growth Wand, is a no-go. Sarah, the owner of the Growth Wand, is one of Aster Empire's main combat assets. That said, it was already a tough fight with myself to just hand over Growth Large Sword. I don't want to part with any more sacred treasures. The mass production of demons is a big advantage. According to Canon, demons can evolve, so it's possible for them to become big combat assets in the future. On the other hand, Barbatos specializes in enemy detection. He's certainly appealing as well. It's unclear what exactly a specialization on enemy detection entails, but in game terms, it'd be close to the role of a thief. I feel like that role would heavily boost Rena's unit, which is the Aster Empire's main combat force. If I prioritize defense, it'd be Belial, and if I prioritize invasions, it'd be Barbatos. I was greatly troubled by that difficult choice. Chapter 274, Ishikawa Alliance. I guess it's got to be Barbatos. After worrying over and over again, I finally decided to go with Barbatos. Belial is specialized on summoning. Thus he'll likely sacrifice something for the sake of obtaining the summoning ability. Mass-producing demons would be very advantageous, but there are other ways to turn demons into subordinates. Oddly enough, Koru's words, generic and unique items, they've got a gap in value that can't be filled, tipped the scales towards Barbatos. I sent a mail to Koru. In the end, the details of the trade are as follows. Shion's side: Orichalcum equipment X180 growth large sword Thysus. Koru's side: Devil King X20 Devil Lord X20 Devil Butler X20 Barbatos. There's also a reason why the trade rate hasn't turned into one Orichalcum item per generic monster. For me to take over 100 subordinates would require making 100 new bloodkin through contract. I simply cannot use that much CP on this. As I worried about this part, Canon told me if you turn a kin into your subordinate, all subordinates, which belong to the kin before the contract, are going to become yours alongside the kin. After hearing about this condition, and after consulting with Koru, the result of our discussion and me accepting his request, if I'm going to pass them to you after turning them into kin, we need to change the rate a bit. The rate became 3 items per monster. Devil Kings have a high LP, so it's possible to turn 5 of them into subordinates at once. Thanks to this, the number of contracts has drastically decreased to 12. And, on the day when all negotiations finished, we decided to hold what would become the very first trading ceremony inside my domain section. The place for the trade ceremony would be an office located on the highest floor of a conspicuously large building which allows for an unobstructed view of Aster Empire's residential district. It's the room where Mrs. Tamura is usually working. For this very day I have made a special exception by connecting this place to a transfer array near the entrance of my domain. The official venue has been completely prepared, so now we've only got to wait for Koru to arrive. Around 10 minutes before the appointed time, my smartphone informs me of invaders. Koru's visit. Once I checked my phone, I spotted a slender man wearing a tricorn at the entrance area of my domain. In addition, Koru alongside 10 archdemons. Using the transfer array, I moved to Koru's location. Welcome, Demon King Koru. Thank you very much for your kind invitation. Koru answers me, who bows exaggeratedly, with a childish smile. Just in case, I've prepared an official venue to hold the trade ceremony, but what would you like to do? Last time I turned down Koru's offer, and negotiated with him at the entrance area of his domain. If Koru insists on the same, I won't have a choice but to heed his request. Okay. Then I think I'll take you up on that offer, ? I'm startled by Koru agreeing so readily. You okay with that? You're not going to pull a sneak attack on me or anything, are you? Of course not, but, then it's alright. You said it yourself, didn't you? That we'll build up our trust slowly. I'd say this is the first step towards that. Let me answer your trust with trust of my own then as well. By the way, would it be better for us to give our weapons into your custody? No, keep them. Well then, I'll guide you. I took Koru and his retinue with me, transferring us through the transfer array. Wow, incredible. Looking at the residential district through the window in the office, the transfer destination, Koru is lost for words. Koru, you don't have any residents in your domain? No, I do have residents, but not to such a large extent. I mean, look, making residents surrender tends to be quite annoying and the profits are low. Koru gives one the impression of being cunning, but right now he's appearing to be unusually frank. For better or worse, we're calling ourselves a nation, so that's why. I see. This is certainly a country. As for the scale, it's still no more than the size of a town. Maybe I should build a town myself as well once I get back. By the way, is there any merit in doing all this? Merit, huh? If it becomes widely known that my residents can spend a happy life here, future reigns are going to be easier, I guess. Also, the quality of the food has improved. Shion, you eat? I do it when I have some free time. Well, the ones most delighted about the food improvements are my subordinates. Shion, you have the image of being cruel, but are you unexpectedly affectionate towards your subordinates? I wonder. I'm bragging to be kinder in the treatment of my residents and subordinates than most normal demon kings, but affectionate. If I were to be asked for my honest opinion, I'd be hard-pressed to answer since I do have ulterior motives with this. By the way, who are your companions? I shift my look to the man and the 10 archdemons Koru brought with him. I suspect the man to be Barbatos, but I don't get the meaning behind bringing along 10 archdemons. They'd be a bit too weak to qualify as guards. I'll introduce you. He is Barbatos. He's my prized subordinate who I'm going to transfer to you this time. Nice to meet you, Shion-sama. My name is Barbatos, the slender man with the tricorn. Barbatos bows respectfully. I'm Shion. Nice to meet you. And the remaining lesser demons are guards? No, they're a present from me, kind of like a proof of deep affection. I understand. Thank you for your consideration. 10 lesser demons, huh? I check my inventory. I take out an outfit, the robe of magic crystals, and hand it to Koru. It's proof of deep affection from me. Thanks. Is this proof of deep affection? Or is it because you don't want to owe me? Feel free to interpret it as you like. The robe of magic crystals is an outfit I've become able to create when my alchemy became A rank. Its ability doesn't lose out to that of the unique robe that can be made at B rank. Oh right, it's a bold copying from you, but I also gave my country a name. Who? Now that we've formed an alliance at last, it'd be better for my country to have a name as well, right? So, what is it? Kaga. So you used the place's name just as it is, huh? I wondered whether I should go with Komatsu, but Kaga is cooler, isn't it? Koru explains cheerfully. Then we're going to form an alliance, right? We'll stream us officially forming the alliance live to the whole world. That sounds really awesome. I wonder whether I'll become a celebrity overnight. Who knows? Koru and I exchange smiles. Shion-sama. Koru-sama. Is everything ready, Su? Tusk, whom I had entrusted with setting up the technical side of the live stream, calls out to us. Koru and I exchange a look, and nod. Then let's go, Su. 3, 2, 1. Action. The red lamp of the video camera in Tusk's hand turns on. Nice to meet you, all humans in the world and dear demon kings. My name is Demon King Shion. I'm a demon king ruling over a part of Japan's Ishikawa prefecture. Hello, everyone. Whoa. It sure is nerve-wracking. My name is Koru. I'm also a demon king ruling over a part of Japan's Ishikawa prefecture. There's something we'd like to report to all of you on this fine day. Today, my domain, the Asta Empire, and my domain, Kaga, are going to form an alliance. The alliance's name is going to be Ishikawa Alliance. Whether this alliance works out smoothly or whether it utterly fails, we'd like all of you to make your own judgment after witnessing the future of the Ishikawa Alliance, and therefore streamed the current live show to you. I'm really excited about what will happen. Please allow us to excuse ourselves at this point. Once I lower my hand, the video camera's recording lamp turns off. Like this, the probably worldwide first alliance between demon kings came into existence. Chapter 275, The Impact of the Alliance. On the night of the day when the Ishikawa Alliance was established, we had a huge feast inside Asta Empire. Koru was also happy with the warm welcome he received at the Asta Empire, and returned to his own domain on the next day. And then we started all kinds of experiments, starting with the next day. Experiment 1, can we level by sacrificing subordinates to each other? This was a proposal by Koru, who had received a sacred treasure, the Growth Greatsword. 1. Starting with the conclusion, this experiment ended in failure. According to Canon, the main cause for the failure was it looks like you can't get any experience points if you kill enemies without any hostility. When I complained to Canon to tell me about this restriction earlier, she told me that she apparently received that knowledge immediately after we did this experiment. Assuming Canon's words to be correct, Was this possibly an update, or a specification change? I guess the sole gain out of this was the understanding that Mastermind is always watching what's happening in this world, and that Mastermind is going to impose restrictions on actions going against their intention. Experiment 2. Can we become invincible by plugging up the room for other demon kings to attack us if we send in 24 subordinates into each other's sectors? Starting with the conclusion, this experiment also ended in failure. It looks like enemies with no hostile intentions are not counted towards the limit. I only feel pissed off at the Mastermind for arbitrarily changing the rules of the world. 1 week after the establishment of the Ishikawa alliance, all our experiments have come to naught, but the alliance itself had a big impact on the domestic humans and demon kings. Just as usual, the humans immediately censored the information by deleting our video. But apparently they were unable to completely cover up this sensational event as many humans and demon kings showed interest in it. 1 nameless adventurer. Whoa. Demon kings have formed an alliance. 2 nameless adventurer. To 1. Details. 3 nameless adventurer. Ishikawa Prefecture's Heart Chada has formed an alliance. 4 nameless adventurer. Heart Chada? Who's that? 5 nameless adventurer. Heart-throbbing chaos demon kings, like obviously. 6 nameless adventurer. Just say 13 evil stars, damn it. 7 nameless adventurer. To 1 source. 8 nameless adventurer. Go to video link URL. 9 nameless adventurer. The 13 evil stars member of Ishikawa had such a face. 10 nameless adventurer. Koru tan PR 2. 11 nameless adventurer. Weren't demon kings hostile to each other? 12 nameless adventurer. Demon King Shion is a Shota. That's why he formed that alliance. 13 nameless adventurer. To 12. Oh really? 14 nameless adventurer. Really? 15 nameless adventurer. To 14. Source. 16 nameless adventurer. Worcester. 17 nameless adventurer. Few. 18 nameless adventurer. So we're going to get humans versus demon king alliances from now on? 19 nameless adventurer. That's impossible. No? Our local demon king also announced that he'd formed an alliance or such, but they immediately had a falling out through betrayals. 20 nameless adventurer. What you'd expect of Chaos Raffle. The Ishikawa alliance also became a huge topic on the Laplace forums. 1 nameless demon king. Recruiting demon kings to ally with Mr. Y. 2 nameless demon king. How are nameless demon kings supposed to form alliances? Raffle Mao. 3 nameless demon king. To 1. First, name yourself. Everything else follows after that. 4 nameless demon king. You'll believe me if I introduce myself as Honma. 5 nameless demon king. I'd say it depends on the place. 6 nameless demon king. This account has been blocked due to a violation of the rules. 7 nameless demon king. Secret technique. Eternal freeze. 8 nameless demon king. What a nutter moron lol. 9 nameless demon king. Alliance is no special ability, is it? 10 nameless demon king. Nope. 11 nameless demon king. You're saying Kanezawa's 13 evil stars member has formed an alliance based on trust alone? 12 nameless demon king. Gotta be like that. He mentioned something about wanting us to judge the future. 13 nameless demon king. Unbelievable. I'd never be able to pull that off. 14 nameless demon king. From now on all demon kings are probably going to closely watch the Ishikawa alliance. 15 nameless demon king. Shion, was it? He became a celebrity overnight, I'd say. 16 nameless demon king. He was a heart charger to begin with, so he was in the center of attention anyway. 17 nameless demon king. Come to think of it, that Shion dude is participating in Laplace as well, isn't he? 18 nameless demon king. I'm Shion, did you call? Raffle Mao. 19 nameless demon king. The real deal is he here. 20 nameless demon king. Eh? For real? 21 nameless demon king. Lil heart Chardashins are popping out all over the place. Mao 3. 22 nameless demon king. Ah, those are part of the heart charger series no one needs. Yep. 23 nameless demon king. Considering it logically, he's a fake. 24 nameless demon king. If it was the real deal, he'd suffered an eternal freeze after all. 25 nameless demon king. I'd really laugh my ass off if the real heart Chardashin got banned lololol. 26 Nameless Demon King. An alliance, huh? The way how demon kings handle things might change. Stuck with having huge attention drawn on me all over the world, I calmly set up my plans for the upcoming future. Arc 10, Chapter 276, Expansion into the Toyama Prefecture. I lower my eyes on the map spread out in front of me. The invasions from the south, the Fukui Prefecture, are going to be blocked by Koru. The north and west face the sea, making them safe for us. Under these circumstances, our next objective lies in the east. The Toyama Prefecture. Only one demon king still persists over there. He's ruling over Asahi Town and Kurobe in the prefecture's east. The remaining land has been fully liberated by the humans. In an effort to liberate all of Toyama, the humans over there launch invasions into the last demon king's domain on a daily basis. How are things going to pan out if we begin an invasion from our side? The humans will strive to defend, won't they? Then again, it's meaningless to think about this. Our only two options are invasion of Toyama or hiding out in Ishikawa. I decided to call my leaders and announce the upcoming invasion of Toyama. For these reasons, we're going to start our invasion into Toyama tomorrow. The initial target is a usurpation of the prefecture's west, the Dakoku and Tonami districts. Oh, nice my triumphal return. Kinda. Depending on the enemy movements, we'll expand our sphere of influence in one breath. All of you, get ready with that in mind. I began my invasion of Toyama together with my belligerent subordinates whose morale had reached its peak. Section. 1 month later, we took Hime, Takoka, Oibe, and Tonami. Although there were some smaller skirmishes with the humans, we succeeded in smoothly expanding our territory. The reason why it was possible for things to proceed so favorably mainly stemmed from a difference in strength. And even more so, because of the actions of Demon King Motoki, the last Demon King in Toyama. As soon as the humans sent their forces to defend against our invasion, Motoki immediately went on the offense. Being stuck in a pincer attack, the humans couldn't defend properly on either front. In the end, Motoki succeeded in stealing Yuzu from the humans despite his inferior position, giving him some new room to breathe. Once we've usurped Nanto, the prefecture's west will have completely fallen into our hands. The humans of Toyama are in a mess because they can't make up their mind where to defend. If they focused on one side, they'd have been able to avoid falling into such a wretched state. Now, don't be so hard on them. Democratic organizations have it tough in such a situation, unlike us, right? The ones bringing the humans of Toyama together isn't the local government, but a group of local corporations. Despite having a representative, all their decisions have to be discussed. Meaning, there will be arguments among those wanting to protect their own hometowns, those wanting to protect themselves and their families, or those wanting to protect their own interests. As a result of that, all their actions end up being late. True, the Asta Empire does have an absolute ruler with you, Shin-san. It's because I'm a demon king. I answer Canon with a smile. Having said that, I suspect that things won't proceed as smoothly as before from now on. According to the reports of Kate, who was out in the field to gather intelligence, very skilled humans have assembled in Nanto. They've apparently built a building intended to serve as a frontier fortress. So they finally reached a consensus after a month of discussions? Who knows? Either way, it changes nothing for us. Yep, we'll make them surrender with wit and force. Right? You got it. I scanned the investigative report I've received from Kate. I'd really love a bit more detail here. When it comes to even more detailed information, I guess I've got no choice but to head out myself. The fastest method to obtain information on enemy numbers, the crux of any intelligence, is rain. I decide to select the subordinates who are going to accompany me on my probing rain. We'd only stand out if we went with a big number of folks, and it'd make a retreat difficult. In the end, I've chosen Takaharu, Sarah, Hibiki, Kotetsu, and Rina to come with me. We'll move in a SV car driven by Hibiki and Takaharu's big bike. Hibiki, Kotetsu, Rina and I'll take the car while Takaharu will drive his bike with Sarah on the back seat. Even if we run into the enemy in the worst case, we're going to be okay with this lineup. I think I called the 5 people over, and we headed out to probe the enemy movements. Section. We travel with the radio playing inside the car. It's extremely calming and chilled. Outsourcing Sarah, who was liable to suddenly start karaoke tournaments, was the correct choice. I guide Hibiki while checking the geolocational information on my smartphone. I think this will be a good spot to cover a wide range. We stopped the car and got out at a spot that would allow me to cover an area of 2 kilometers around the Nanto fortress. I'll start the rain now. You guys, make sure to closely guard the vicinity. I remind my subordinates, and begin the preparations for rain. I close my eyes and chant in my mind while holding out my right hand. The ground trembles and a black vortex with a diameter of around 30 centimeters materializes in front of my right hand's palm, looking like it's swallowing all space around it. The usual text streams down on my smartphone's display. You have started rain. Rain has been announced to the hostile entities within its effective range. Please remove all hostile entities in range within 180 minutes. Alert. Hostile forces confirmed within the effective range. Please eliminate them at once. Display map of effective range. Yes, no. I tap yes and check out the number of humans displayed on the map. That's a lot. At a glance, I'd estimate the number of red dots at roughly 100,000. If you just go by numbers, the Kainzao Liberation Army used to have more in the city hall, but the humans holed up in the Nanto fortress consist of 90% combatants. According to Kate's information, all civilians have been evacuated to Toyama City. Except for this place, Toyama City, the humans' headquarters, also houses a huge number of people. Moreover, I've heard that the humans also built a similar fort in Namurakawa as a bulwark against Motoki. I guess that's the difference between Ishikawa, which has been dominated by the Demon Kings, and Toyama, which has been dominated by humans since the beginning. This looks like a hard nut to crack. We're retreating. Having obtained the information I required, I swiftly withdrew with my subordinates. Section. 12 hours after our return. Beep. It was the sound alerting me of invaders after a long time, and at the same time, it was the sound informing me of unexpected visitors. Chapter 277, Envoy from Toyama. The melody informing me of Yataro's call plays on my smartphone. Shin here. What's up? Invaders have arrived in the 186th sector, but they seem somewhat odd to me. Odd? Yeah. The invading party consists of 24 elves, but the one standing in front is waving a white flag. White flag? Waving a white flag usually means capitulation. Have a suitable Blood King capable of talking with them head over. Roger. After giving him his instructions, I use my smartphone to check on the situation in the 186th sector. My name is Mob Wanshin. What kind of business could you have with our Asta Empire to trespass onto our holy land? Mob 1, the damn Bloodkin sent over by Yataro, asks the invaders in a coercive manner. My name is Lute Motoki. I am kin of the honorable ruler of Toyama, Demon King Motoki-sama. Today we have visited for the sake of negotiations with Demon King Shin, the supreme ruler of Ishikawa. The handsome, flag-waving elf seems to be a subordinate of Motoki. Negotiations, you say? Very well. Then you may concisely state your desire to me, Mob Wanshin, Bloodkin of the glorious Demon King Shin-sama. Mob 1 orders Motoki's subordinate with a pointlessly high-handed tone. We request a direct negotiation with Demon King Shin! The likes of filthy elves wish to catch a glimpse of Shin-sama's exalted appearance. Even fooling around has its sell. Mob 1, precisely repeat my words to them! Feeling like things would never get settled with Mob 1's belligerent approach, I decide to directly intervene. I shall impart Shin-sama's words upon you next. Demon King Shin speaking. Lute Motoki, I'm currently listening to what you're saying. Freezing for a moment after hearing my words, Lute begins to talk. I shall pass on Motoki-sama's words. From now on, listen with caution. Demon King Shin, sorry for the sudden visit. There, Demon King speaking. Today I had my kin head over as I wanted to discuss something which would be of benefit for both of us. He says, I shall impart Shin-sama's words upon you next. So, What do you wish to talk about? He says. I shall pass on Motoki-sama's reply. You should listen carefully. Won't you form an alliance with me? Motoki-sama has said. Alliance, he says. I'm surprised by Motoki's unexpected suggestion. How should I respond to this? But before that, I should have this annoying way of negotiating cancelled. I think I shall impart Shin-sama's reply upon you. If you intend to trust our side and form an alliance, Demon King Motoki, call me directly under the following telephone number. Once I tell them the number of a spare smartphone in order to stop this discussion through bloodkin, Motoki's subordinates leave my domain. 1 minute later. Ring ling ring. The spare phone I had placed next to me starts to ring. Shin of the Asta Empire speaking. Ah, Motoki of Uozu here. Probably because I introduced myself with our nation's name. Motoki hesitated for a moment before introducing himself as Motoki of Uozu. So what's your business with me? Won't you ally with me? Motoki apparently wants to form an alliance with the Asta Empire. An alliance? Huh? Why? Huh? Right now we're facing a common enemy, aren't we? The enemy of your enemy is your friend. They say, don't they? The enemy of your enemy is your friend. For us demon kings everyone is an enemy. Even the enemy of your enemy is just another enemy. Or am I wrong? I think it'd be best to come across cockish until I grasp his aim, and thus I coldly refute Motoki's claim. In short, you're saying you won't ally with me? Were my words a bit too strong? Hostility has started to ooze out of his voice. That's not what I've said. Just, what kind of gain would I have out of forming an alliance with you? Gain? There's a merit in it for you. Please enlighten me then. We can avoid pointless fighting. Pointless fighting? Yep. Pointless fighting between you and me. I don't quite get what you're telling me. Our domains aren't adjacent to each other in the first place. But, it's just a matter of time until they will be, right? In other words, you've approached me about an alliance after predicting the future? That's how it is. Excellent rulers must always predict the future and act upon that. Isn't that so, Comrade Shin? Motoki starts to become awfully talkative. Having said that, I can't believe those to be his true feelings. I see. In that case, how about we postpone negotiating an alliance for the time when our domains are neighbors? Do you have any further business with me? Wait. Please wait a moment. Just as I'm about to cut the conversation, Motoki completely changes his attitude, becoming obviously flustered. What is it? You said it'll be an alliance for the sake of avoiding pointless fighting after predicting the future, didn't you? In that case, it'll be fine for us to negotiate again once that future comes to pass, right? That's wrong. Wrong? I believe I've only repeated your own words. But maybe our perceptions differ? Wrong. No, that's not it. Our perceptions are the same. But it'll be meaningless unless we form an alliance now. Dear me, if my perception isn't mistaken, our domains aren't adjacent to each other. It'd be a different story if we could ignore the humans and traverse unhindered between each other's domains. But the pointless fighting you're talking about is, in short, about us two not fighting each other. No? But, for the sake of reaching that glorious future, we need to form an alliance right now. Sorry, I'm probably slow on the uptake and not as smart as you to predict the future. I don't really understand what you're trying to tell me, you know. For the sake of our glorious future, in order for us to become good neighbors, we have to become allies right now. That's what I'm telling you. It's a mystery how us becoming neighbors would connect to a glorious future. But you'd like to form an alliance to clean up Toyama's humans. Is that what you want to tell me? I guess you could put it like that. Some confidence has returned to his voice. Now then, is this guy possibly an idiot? Let's get things sorted a bit, okay? The reason you want us to form an alliance is not to avoid pointless fighting, but to defeat Toyama's humans. Would that be correct? I don't mind even if you interpret it like that. Don't give me I don't mind even if you interpret it like that. Isn't that completely different from what you started with? I've understood what you want. Did I get you to understand the importance of this alliance? Though I can't understand what's so important about it, I'll put my response on hold for now. Why? This matter is nothing I can answer on the spot just like that. Or do you believe an alliance with us to be something trivial? Demon King Motoki? That's not what I meant. I'll give you my answer tomorrow. Tomorrow? Huh? Gotcha. I hung up after finishing my conversation with him. Chapter 278. A New Alliance. A request for an alliance. Huh? What should I do? I spread out a map of Japan and checked the situation. Even if I were to form an alliance with Motoki, it wouldn't have any influence on the near future. If we're talking about an immediate effect, it'd be limited to a simultaneous invasion against Toyama's humans from the east and west. What if I look at it in the long term? Just like Koru's Kaga serves as a breakwater against Fukui, Motoki's domain could become a bulwark against Nagata. If that happened, I could focus my efforts on Gifu or Nagano after taking over Toyama. The Gifu prefecture is starting to become a major power since the humans of Ichi are amassing there after getting driven out of their own prefecture by Demon King Hyade, one of the 13 evil stars. Meanwhile, the sole nameless Demon King among the 13 evil stars, commonly referred to as Nanashi, is currently expanding his domain in Nagano. I won't be able to confront either forces with half-assed strategies. Considering it like that, the current alliance proposal isn't that bad a deal. What do you think, Canon, about the alliance proposal? She doesn't measure up to a reliable strategist for me, but she's the ideal conversation partner, and thus I call out to Canon. Is there anything else beside that? Personally, I'm against it. Who? Why? A reason, huh? You could say that it pains me as a highly anticipated strategist, or maybe that I have a bad feeling about this. For a change, Canon speaks hesitantly and vaguely. What is it? Hurry up and spit it out. Let's see. You promise you won't get angry? That depends on the answer. Usually you'd go with the flow here and say that you won't. Spitout. I roar at Canon, who's still faltering. It's my intuition. Huh? I feel dumbfounded by Canon's unexpected reply. Motoki isn't reliable as an ally, or should I say, you can't trust him, or rather, he's fishy. Or I'm simply getting bad vibes from him. In other words, you're saying you're against the alliance because you dislike Motoki? Doesn't that make me sound selfish? In short, you're against the alliance because you simply hate him without a logical reason? No? You are. Shin-san, are you angry? You promised to not be angry. I didn't. For now, I've understood that it's based on a canon issue. Canon issue, you say? Isn't that almost as if you're using my name as a synonym for stupidity? As if? Just what is that bug prattling about? Of course it's a synonym for stupidity. I stop my conversation with Canon at that point, and decide to do what I have to do, assuming I were to agree with Motoki's alliance offer. There's one thing I have to do before that. I need to check back with my current ally, Koru. The alliance with Koru holds a big meaning for the Asta Empire's defense. For the meantime, I'd like to maintain a friendly relationship with him. For this reason, I should check back with him, just in case. I use my smartphone to call Koru. Huh? Aren't you busy with your attack on Toyama right now? Koru throws some idle chatting at me without any greeting. It's been a long time since we last talked. Oh, sorry. Nice to hear from you. How are you doing? The attack on Toyama is proceeding reasonably well, but I want to discuss something else with you. Do you have a moment? Sure. What's up? Do you have a grasp on the situation in Toyama? To be honest, not really. Then I'll give you a short rundown. Toyama Prefecture is currently ruled by 3 factions: Demon King Motoki in the east, the humans in the center, and me in the west. What? So only one Demon King is left in Toyama? Indeed. So, what's the matter? The sole surviving Demon King has offered me an alliance. What's your take on this, Koru? Is it bad if I don't participate in that alliance? No. Ultimately it's going to be an alliance between Motoki and me. So, are you going to go along with it? To be blunt, I'm kinda wavering on how to answer. Oh, are you sure? You showed me a weakness. I'd prefer it if you called it trust instead of weakness. Good one. Anyway, It's nothing that concerns me, so I don't mind either way. That's awfully heartless of you. Ha ha ha. You don't even believe that yourself. Well, the first formidable enemies you're going to face from now on will be either the humans of Gifu or the 13 Evil Stars member of Nagano, so an alliance does have a merit, don't you think? I see. I'll call you again if there are any new developments. Please come up with something that would benefit me next time, okay? Until the end of the call, Koru remained cheerful. Forming an alliance has merit, huh? Well, although you may call it an alliance, it's not set in stone for eternity. I think it won't be much of a problem if I set a deadline and respond to things depending on the situation. Intuition, eh? Canon's words left a lasting memory on me, but in the end I decided to form an alliance with Motoki. Chapter 279. Entering the new alliance. For this reason, the alliance will last for a period of 3 months. After that time, we'll discuss an extension of the alliance. We'll use the internet to broadcast the event of us having allied to the whole world. Those are all conditions. Are you okay with that? I rattled down my conditions during my phone call with Motoki. No problem. I'm sure this alliance will go down in history. Let's hope it does. I agree with Motoki's exaggeration with a wry smile on my lips. Well then, let us immediately show the power of this alliance to the whole world. Meaning? Are you saying you want to announce it online right away? No. Our combined might. We shall make our power known to the humans of Toyama. Motoki enthusiastically declares as if this is the real issue at hand. First comes the online announcement. Ugh. Our bonds. Our feelings. Isn't it fine as long as we know about those? No, it's not. If you can't agree with this condition, there won't be any alliance. Gah. The passionate, seething blood circulating in me, stifling my drive will come with great losses, but, so it's fine for us to call it off? I give Motoki a final warning while suppressing my emotions because of the nonsense coming out of his mouth. I got it. Let's show our bonds to the whole world first. We'll do the online broadcast tomorrow. The place will be my domain. You don't have a problem with that, do you? I'd warmly welcome you if you came to my. We'll carry it out in my domain. You don't have a problem with that, do you? I repeat myself, using a tone that doesn't allow any objections. Why yeah, I understand. I'm going to await you tomorrow at noon then. Unlike Koru, I can't feel anything when talking with this guy. I quickly cut the line as soon as I finished my business with him. Section 11:50 a.m. On the next day, 10 minutes before the appointed time, a group of elves visits the Aster Empire. I appreciate you coming all the way here. I'm the Demon King of the Aster Empire, Shion. I offer a hand to the beautiful elf standing at the front of the elf delegation. Since all his equipment is unique, I'm sure that he's Demon King Motoki, ? Suddenly, the elf whom I considered to be Motoki, genuflects on the spot and bows his head. Going by the phone calls, I imagined him to be an arrogant buffoon. But is he actually a humble demon king? Ha ha ha. Nice to meet you. I am the supreme ruler of Toyama. Motoki. The elven group divides and an orc with an arrogant attitude shows up from behind. Ha? Motoki is an elf, isn't he? Excuse me, but allow me to ask you out of curiosity. What's your race? I'm a vampire lord. The orc in front of me is supposed to become a sworn friend, so I confirm while making sure to not come across as rude. Friendship, you are one bothering yourself with titles. Well, there's no need to hide it, seeing how we're sworn friends. I'm an elf lord. It's unexpected that we're both lords. So it was fate for us to join up. It looks like Motoki regards his race as a title. And it's the first time for me to regret having chosen Vampire Lord. What is it, Canon? Right now we're in the middle of an important talk. No helping it. Wait a moment. Suddenly I start to talk to myself in a loud voice. You Canon, be silent. Sorry, one of my leading subordinates insists. Would it be alright for me to leave for a moment? How rude while being in front of Motoki-sama. It's fine. We're both troubled by having subordinates who depend on their fathers. I'm really sorry. Hibiki, serve our guests tea. Master, over here. Hibiki, set everything up to hold the discussions in this place. As you wish, master. At once. Hibiki prepares table, chairs, and a tea set. You were called Hibiki? Yes? You have quite the dreamy muscles. Hi. Motoki strokes Hibiki's biceps all over. Motoki is truly fearsome to make Hibiki scream like that. While Hibiki experiences sexual harassment, I approach Canon, and whisper to her. Canon, who is that? A Demon King Motoki, I think? Canon inclines her head, answering me with a voice lacking confidence. Is that really an elf? A protruding belly and thin hair on his scalp. The few remaining strands of hair are greasy on top of that, and a dense arm hair as if all the hair from his head has been transplanted on his arms. His face feels more imposing than those of the created orcs. That's probably the real Motoki. Who? What's the basis for that claim? Please look at his ears. Urged by Canon, I direct my eyes on the ears of Motoki, the self-alleged orc. They're faintly pointed. I think the shape of his ears is one of the special traits of elves. I see. And elves are usually beautiful. In other words, creating such an ugly elf is impossible. Thus I guess that's Motoki. It's a flawless reasoning, I suppose. After having resolved that mystery, I return to Motoki. Sorry for having made you wait. Shion, you possess quite decent subordinates. Hibiki is nice, but he's nice as well. Motoki sends a passionate gaze in Takaharu's direction, who's remained in the back. Even the bold and daring Takaharu yelps slightly, and immediately hides behind Sarah. I see. He's quite the shy one, isn't he? Motoki grins broadly after seeing Takaharu's reaction. Coming back to the main issue, we're going to start the online announcement from now on. Here you have the simple script. When I try to hand him the script I wrote up in advance, Motoki wraps his sweaty hand around mine at the same time as he accepts the script. Somehow I manage to not scream out in disgust, but the revolting feeling this pig causes in me is abnormal. Okay, I got it. And, Shion, what is it? Are we going to hold the online announcement here? Originally I had planned to carry it out in the office after transferring over, but I feel a physical repulsiveness of inviting this pig over. Indeed. Is there any problem with that? I was sure we'd shoot the scene at the same place where you did it with Koru-tan, but I guess I was wrong. Filming it here is owed to my huge consideration of you. Who? You say this dreary entrance area counts as consideration for me? Indeed. It's not like it's likely, but if something unforeseen were to happen, you'd be able to escape right away as you're right next to the exit, right? The end justifies the means, and thus I make up some suitable nonsense to explain it away. I see. Certainly. I wouldn't know what to do should I get locked up in the deepest part of your domain. This is a consideration between fellow demon kings, huh? I learned something new. You have my gratitude. Motoki buys into my excuse. Well then, let us start the online announcement. Afterwards I announced my alliance with Motoki to the whole world with a cramped smile. Chapter 280, A Pig Goes Berserk. So, when are we going to make our bonds known? Motoki asks me as soon as the broadcast has ended. Bonds? You mean the matter of invading simultaneously? Quite so. It's said that you have to strike while the iron is hot, right? Listen to my advice as your sworn friend. We should show off the strength of our bonds as soon as possible. I guess from Motoki's point of view the major reason behind this alliance lies in a simultaneous invasion. It gives me cramps to follow this guy's advice or whatever he calls it, but I had planned to attack Toyama City's base to begin with. When can you carry it out? Meaning, your long-awaited simultaneous invasion. Let's see. Is it okay for me to ask you one thing before that? What's up? We're sworn friends. Yes. It took me a lot of effort to approve of the pig in front of me as a sworn friend, but in the end I agreed. Then I wonder what to think about the way you're addressing me. Would it be better for me to call you Motoki Dono? I'll call you Shion Nyan, and I wouldn't mind in the least if you were to also call me Moto Nyan. No thanks, but I do mind. ! What do you dislike about this? All of it. I'll call you Motoki, so you can call me Shion. It also gave me cramps for this pig to address me without honorific titles, but I decided to compromise a bit. Calling each other by names without any titles, it's almost as if we're married. Should we make it so that this alliance never came to be? The pig in front of me is really gross. Maybe I should have trusted Canon's intuition. So, when can you carry it out? I return to the main topic, which interests Motoki the most, for the sake of stopping any further talk about this revolting topic as quickly as possible. But, before that, I'm asking you when you'll be able to carry it out. You hear? Right. 3 days. How about we do it in 3 days? 3 days, huh? Considering how much you rushed me earlier, that's rather slow. Well, whatever. Okay, we're going to start our invasion at the same time at 6 p.m. in 3 days. Oh, okay, 6 p.m. I got it. I think we'll both be busy with getting everything ready. So please excuse me at this point. I said everything that had to be said, so I swiftly left. Section. I'm gonna kill that pig. I hardly arrive at the office through the transfer array when Takaharu confronts me with a dangerous idea. I understand your feelings on this, but endure it. Master, I agree with Mr. Takaharu's opinion. For a change, Hibiki, who's been on the receiving end of Motoki's sexual harassment, actively supports an idea. I also feel like super unwilling to accept that a gross thing like that is of the same race as I am. I warned you, didn't I? Sarah bears her disgust of Motoki while Canon acts all high and mighty. Well, I understand your feelings, but it's not like we've become his subordinates, so let's have him be of as much use to us as possible, as sworn friend. With sworn friends, there are also times where you have to go rescue them, right? Like no way in hell. If it is your mighty order, Master, I won't hesitate to help him as reinforcement. But that thing is inferior to my own subordinates. As your strategist, I propose to also include abandoning him as an option. Motoki seems to be generally hated by all the former demon kings. It's not clear whether things will develop into such a situation, but the action we'll take at that time depends on the reputation of that thing. For the time being, we'll get ready for battle. Sure thing. Certainly, Master. Okay. I ordered my dispirited subordinates. Section. 3 days after I had allied with Motoki, at 5 p.m. I have deployed a battle array of 10,000 subordinates in a location situated 3 kilometers away from the Nanto fortress. 1 hour left until the appointed time. Just in case, I contact Kate, whom I have assigned to monitor Motoki's side. How are things on your side? The pig's army amounts to about 5,000. What about Tatama's lineup? Motoki is scheduled to invade the Tatama fortress, the last bastion protecting Toyama City. Around 30,000? Isn't that too little? The target of our invasion, the Nanto fortress, has 100,000 defenders. But it's around that much. Many reserve troops are stationed in Toyama City, the main base of Toyama's humans. Maybe they're planning to send out reinforcements after assessing the situation. Oh well, get back to me if there's any movement. Got it. In the worst case, we'll pretend to invade at the same time while invading ourselves. It doesn't look like Motoki is going to act like a hyena, choosing an opportune moment to jump us just when the enemy forces are focused on us. Going by my talks and meeting with him, Motoki is a retard. It looks like it was an unfounded worry that he'd betray me. And even if he does betray me, I had planned to attack Nanto Fortress anyway. It'd piss me off to be used for testing the waters, but I'd just need to pay him back in full if that time should ever come. With things like this, are the humans going to split their reserves in Toyama City between the eastern and western fronts? It'd make things a bit easier, but the enemy combat forces are not to be underestimated. The beginning is crucial. The main goal behind today's attack is to break the enemy's morale as much as possible. All hands, use all your force to wipe the floor with them. The crux of a reign is how much you can break the spirit of your enemy. A drawn-out battle is no option. You must plunge the humans into despair by showing them an overwhelming difference in power. Takaharu's corps, who's going to serve as vanguard, seems to be fully motivated. Takaharu's character as a battle maniac has been changing into a nice direction recently. We're going to start attacking in 30 minutes from now on. All of you, finish your final. Ring. Just when I'm about to make my final speech, I hear the melody of an incoming call. The caller is, Gate. What's wrong? They moved. Huh? The pig army has launched their attack. Huh? There's still 30 minutes left, though. The part about them starting early is no problem. The reserves in Toyama City are then going to stream towards Motoki's side. For me as the one wanting to attack Nanto Fortress, it's actually convenient. But, is he genuinely an idiot? I decided that I won't get any further with just a phone call. I switched to a live stream of Kate's point of view on my smartphone. Go. We're going to attack the Nanto Fortress together with our sworn friend and 13 evil stars Shion. Now is the time to crush the humans of Toyama with our bonds. Kate's point of view shows me Motoki as he triumphantly declares our simultaneous invasion. With a foundation, the key player is Shion. We'll show them our bonds. Motoki rattles on incomprehensible stuff about him being a diversion and some such. What's that idiot prattling? That idiot has blown the biggest chance of the attacking side. The element of surprise. To the wind. Ring. As I'm watching the live stream with a headache, my smartphone rings because of an incoming call. The one calling is, Tusk. What's up? We've got a huge problem. Demon King Motoki has widely announced today's invasion on the internet. You can look up the details by searching Kanezawa Toyama Simultaneous Invasion. I finish the call with Tusk, and look up the search terms he's told me. Tonight, our Tommy Kane Alliance is going to launch an invasion on our archenemy, the Toyama humans. The invasion will begin at 6 p.m. The location will be the Nanto Fortress and the Toyama Fortress. Humans of Toyama, wait for us as you tremble in your beds. My assessment of Motoki as an ally drops sharply and at the same time, it goes up by one notch for him as an enemy. Chapter 281. What's the pig's aim? What is Motoki aiming for? Is he a genuine idiot, or is his goal to lure the enemy forces into attacking us? Whether it's former or latter, he's the worst ally you could have. I'd love to rip our alliance apart at this very moment, but seeing how we've announced it to the entire world, revoking it from my side would be a blow to our reputation. I suppose I've got no choice but to revoke the alliance as soon as its limited time period runs out. Learning about a being like Motoki for the first time, I start to appreciate the value of Koru. I should choose my allies more carefully. I didn't plan for us to launch a surprise attack, but the enemy's defense preparations will probably be flawless under these circumstances. It's to the point that I'd love to redo things from scratch, but since that dumb pig announced it so loudly, Asta Empire would be blamed if we were to cancel the attack at this point. As such, it's pointless to regret things at this point. We'll begin our attack on the Nanto Fortress at the appointed time. You can expect the enemy's resistance to be harsher than usual. To all commanding officers, proceed with the invasion carefully while making sure to not waste the lives of your men. I encourage my subordinates after resolving myself. Did something happen? Rina has apparently felt that something was out of place with my inspirational speech. Our attack at 6 p.m. has been leaked to the enemy. What happened? That retard Motoki proclaimed it loudly. ? He announced it publicly while impertinently attacking Toyama Fortress ahead of time. He's even been so kind to the enemy as to announce it on the internet. What for? That's what I'd like to know. I suspect he's catering to his desire for being in the limelight. Or he's doing it for the sake of trapping me. I keep the latter reason to myself. For the sake of preventing a drop in morale. Are there any changes to our strategy? Reviewing our strategy. That said, there's no time left since it's already 5:45 p.m. I guess we'll adjust our battle formation to being defensive, despite being the attackers. Defending in spite of attacking? What's that? Takaharu jumps at my words. We'll make today's objective to decrease the enemy's combat forces. Wouldn't it be just fine to attack all out then? No, we'll take up position in front of the fortress, and face the humans coming out to defend. What's with that passive approach? What are we going to do if the humans seclude themselves inside the fortress? Takaharu is clearly unhappy with the new strategy while Rina points out a problematic issue. We'll shower them with spells and arrows to our heart's content. If they remain inside despite that, we'll deploy a bait unit to lure them out. You're awfully careful this time, aren't you? There's simply too many uncertain elements. Some people are worse to have as an ally than as an enemy. Speaking of right now, that'd be Motoki. I can probably call it a silver lining in an otherwise dark cloud that Motoki is currently on another battlefield. Things started under a bad star, but since it was about time, we began our advance on Nanto Fortress section. They're on high alert, obviously. I've launched many attacks on human lands. However, all of them happened suddenly, following our side's convenience. What would happen if you start an invasion after first declaring war on the other side? The answer to that is the scene visible in front of my eyes. Humans with long spears and big shields have formed ranks in front of the fortress. Looking up the wall, I can also see humans with bows among the fortress defenders. So it's going to be a phalanx, huh? It's not like they're going to launch an attack with a cavalry unit, but it doesn't change the fact that it'll be tough to attack them. Sarah, how far do we need to go for your magic to reach the enemy? If we're talking about me alone, 100 meters is a breeze. And everyone else? Like 50 meters? How far is the range of the archers? I choose 50 random living males and have them advance with their shields held up. They're not attacking them? Everyone, make some noise. Clank your weapons and stamp your feet. My subordinates follow my order, resulting in the surroundings being enveloped in a cloud of dust. Oh? I heard a hollow clank, and an arrow fell to the ground in front of the living male walking at the front. So their range is around 200 meters, huh? Because of the amplified power of this broken world and the locational advantage of being on a high ground, the arrow was fired at a range surpassing any spell while drawing a parabola. Sarah, can your magic reach the enemy from over there? Like no way, says Sarah with a flat, indifferent voice. This is going to be a pain. So far we've also confronted humans who had holed themselves up in buildings. But those buildings were schools, public offices, or other buildings unrelated to battle. But this time we're facing a fortress with an emphasis on defense. I wonder, would it be possible to destroy the gate with a drug attack? Nanto Fortress looks like an impregnable stronghold to me. If we had come at them through a surprise attack, that phalanx unit and the archers on the walls would have likely been less. Now then, how should we crack this nut? I racked my brain on how to take the fortress in front of my eyes. Chapter 282, Retreat. I guess I'll try provoking them for starters. I take out my megaphone and breathe in deeply. Nice to meet you, everyone of the Nanto Fortress. I'm Shion of the Asta Empire. I despise pointless strife and deaths. I promise that I'm going to treat you appropriately if you surrender to us obediently. My flawless recommendation for surrender is full of contempt, directly working as provocation. Now then, how's the enemy going to move? The enemy's response seems to be ignorance. I really wanted them to react in some way, though. Do we have no choice but to go with a brute force approach? We're going to begin our advance with Iron's core taking the lead. Sarah's core is to deploy defense magic. Affirmative. While cautious of arrows with our shields at the ready, we begin to advance at a snail's pace. It's a careful and slow march. As soon as we enter the archery range of the fortress, a rain of arrows pours down on us with a continuous stream of grating sounds as arrows clash against shields. A little bit more. Just a tiny bit. Until they come into the range of our ranged attacks, we lose out in archery range because of the enemy's advantageous high ground. But if it's on the ground, Sarah's spellcasters and Chloe's archers should be any inferior. Everyone, halt. Obeying my order, the entire army stops. Iron Core, deploy in defensive battle formation. Flora Core, deploy defense magic. Sarah and Chloe Core, begin the attack. I hurl out instructions in rapid succession. Once Iron's Core finishes its defensive battle formation, Sarah and Chloe's start their attacks. Countless arrows and spells are exchanged between us and the fortress. The projectiles shot by our side are thwarted by the shields of the humans who have lined up in front of the fortress, and the arrows fired by the humans are thwarted by the shields of Iron's living males. We can't break down the deadlock like this, huh? If we get a bit closer, my magic and more powerful spells of Sarah's core are going to reach the enemy. But it also means that the enemy's spells are going to reach us. Sarah, stop attacking, and cover for Takaharu and Kotetsu's core. Takaharu, Kotetsu, advance. Sure thing. As you command. I order the two, who excel in power and speed, to advance with their core. First we're going to wreak chaos among the phalanx unit in front of us. If the phalanx unit still keeps its order even after getting attacked by Takaharu and Kotetsu's core, it'll become necessary to overwork the strategy from ground up. Let's go, you bums. Kotetsu core, advance. I shall become a gust of wind. Aster Empire's Kuchulain shall press on. The two hot-blooded battle freaks, Takaharu and Kuchulain, lead the charge. Following in their wake, Kotetsu and Takaharu's core also rush at the enemy. We're going to babysit them a bit. Wind shield. The wind walls cast by Sarah's core blow away the arrows raining down on Kotetsu and Takaharu's core. But it'd be asking too much to expect for them to block all arrows. One after the other, my subordinates fall prey to the arrows, and collapse on the spot. Hibiki, mobilize your men, and rescue the wounded. As you wish, Master. Come on, you filthy pigs, it's our duty to suffer pain. Move it. With Hibiki in the lead, the heavily armored orcs save their injured comrades. The distance between Takaharu and Kotetsu's core and the phalanx unit would be soon 50 meters. But the phalanx unit doesn't budge a tiny bit, merely readying its spears and shields. Luring them looks impossible, huh? Just when I resolve myself to suffer a certain amount of sacrifices, Takaharu's wild roar as Beast King causes the atmosphere to tremble. You bastards. You pieces of shit. Killing my precious men I brought up under my personal care. How dare ya? I ain't going to forgive ya. I won't. I'll butcher all of you. Takaharu's angry roaring resounds. In response, High C charge. Attack them. Kill the monster. C calm down. Won't you calm down? Don't break the ranks. A part of the humans falls into a state of panic after getting hit by Takaharu's bloodlust, resulting in the phalanx unit's ranks falling in disorder. It's a golden chance. Get them. Skyblade. Very well. Wind Chaser. Kotetsu unleashes his void blade at the chaotic ranks, and Ku uses that opening to break through while clad in wind. Kill. I'll massacre you. Takaharu rampages like a storm within the phalanx unit. Apparently, it has caused confusion within the command chain since the arrows coming from the fortress have weakened in intensity. Charge. All hands. Attack. I mustn't let this chance escape. Leading my subordinates, we begin general offensive on the fortress. The situation on the battlefield is like an accelerated stream, swiftly transforming into a melee section. 3 hours since the start of the attack on the Nanto fortress. Our losses are what you can expect from the circumstances, I suppose. Fortunately, all my leaders are still alive and kicking. Should we continue the offensive until dawn just like this, or should we temporarily pull back to reform our ranks? The humans who have run out of steam or got injured keep withdrawing into the fortress, replaced by new combat forces. In contrast, we continue fighting without a rest. The most essential part is to find the right timing for the retreat. It'd be horrible to watch my leaders perish. A bit longer. Can we keep going for a tiny bit longer? I try to find the ideal moment while wielding my spear. My leaders seem to still have some leeway. The one being exhausted the most is Takaharu, who made a mistake on economizing his stamina. I think Ku, who's as belligerent as Takaharu, gets remonstrated by Kotetsu every so often, resulting in him pulling back to an extent. Just when I decide to use Takaharu as criterion for timing the retreat, it's from Canon. Rina rushes over to me with her sword in one hand and her smartphone in the other, making her look rather unbalanced. I'll call her back from my smartphone. Rina, you focus on the battle. Okay. Rina puts her phone away, and runs off towards the battlefield again. I withdraw a bit and check my smartphone screen. Thereupon I notice is more than 20 missed calls from Canon. Shion speaking. What's up? On. What? I can't understand you. Send me a short email. I can't hear Canon's voice because of all the noise around me. I cut the call with Canon, and after waiting for a short while, an email arrives on my smartphone. Demon King Motoki has retreated. 70,000 humans from Toyama City are headed for Nanto Fortress! Ha, fuck, that shitty pig. Withdraw, all hands, we're retreating. Iron, Hibiki, I leave the rear guard to you. The first day, which produced huge losses for both sides, came to an end with a retreat by the Asta Empire. Chapter 283, Regret. Damn it. After having returned to the sector nearest to the Kanto fortress, I stomp on the ground without giving a care about being in public. It's a failure. The alliance with that pig is a failure. The pig having tattled to the humans about the invasion time before it started is obviously the cause for our defeat. I had estimated that the alliance with the pig might have no merit for me at worst. But for it to be filled with such huge demerits has gone well beyond my expectations. Ring ring. The melody for an incoming call on my smartphone. The caller is the pig. I feel disgusted by just seeing his name show up on my smartphone screen. If I were to take the call right now, I'd very likely hurl a flood of insults at that pig. But that would only help to clear up my feelings a bit. It wouldn't result in any tangible benefit. Think of a move that could advance things to my advantage under the current circumstances. I brood while ignoring the pig's call. What was the reason for this time's defeat? The pig announced the timing for the invasion, and you can further add his early retreat. Why was the announcement of the invasion's timing the cause for our defeat? The enemy was able to face us while being flawlessly prepared to defend. What did I come up with just now? The advantage of defenders is the location. The advantage of attackers is time. This time we were the ones attacking. The privilege to decide when to start the attack lies with the attackers. If you go even further, you can claim that the attackers also possess the privilege to choose where to attack. The pig's prior announcement destroyed those privileges. Come to think of it, when Rina challenged me, she lost because of the information leaks by Yalol. It seems like it would be the best option to sever any relation to the pig, but can't I use him for my own goals? I simulate various possible futures! Could this work? Even after finding a possibility, I repeatedly continued to simulate various alternatives, and then I answer the 13th call of the pig. Shion speaking. Oh, finally I got through. I had my hands tied up with the retreat due to unforeseen reinforcements. That sounds like a disaster. The cause for the disaster answers shamelessly. So, when are we going to carry out our joint attack next? Personally, I think it'd be best to keep the breaks in between as short as possible. The next day for our joint attack, huh? Would it be alright for me to ask 2 questions before that? What do you want to know? First, why did you attack before the appointed time? That's because my passionate soul drove me. Urged by the feeling of wanting to show our bonds as fast as possible. As a result of that, you have damaged your bonds with me, or in other words, my trust in you. I'd gladly accept any blame if I had delayed the time of my attack, but although it only put our side in danger to go ahead first, I believe it was only of advantage for your side. In the first place, we diverted the enemy's attention by starting early, and the burden of shut up. This pig. I thought he's an idiot, but he's quite aware of the side starting early being prone to suffering more damage. In short, he's not just an idiot. But I need you to understand what I'm trying to say. I told you to shut up. Are you deaf? I hate people who break their promises, above anything else. But, second, why did you go out of your way to publicly announce the time of our attack? That also was for the sake of showing off our bonds to the NM. I haven't heard anything about any such plans. From now on you're forbidden to make any announcements on the internet. However, then do understand? I have understood. I'll put forth a statement about this time's battle from my side. A statement? This time information disclosure is equivalent to a breach of faith. If such a breach of faith should occur again in the future, our alliance will be cancelled at once. That's the statement I'll upload to the internet. But, then my honor, your grandstanding a little while ago cost many lives of my precious subordinates and hurt my reputation. How do you intend to take responsibility for this? If you like, we can also cancel the alliance right away. I understand, it's regrettable, but my position is inferior here. For now I'll obey. For now your mask is coming off, you know? In short, it'll be alright as long as I'm forbidden to make any announcement on the internet in the future, right? As I thought, this guy isn't a simple idiot, and that's why he fell for my scheme. That's how it is. So, when will be the next attack? Tomorrow at 6 p.m. Oh, tomorrow. Tomorrow for sure we shall show the enemy the true power of our bond. I'm busy getting everything ready for tomorrow. Bye. It'd be no more than torture to listen to the pig's voice any longer, and thus I interrupt the pig, and end the call. Takaharu, come to my room. I call Tusk, the one in charge of our IT, to send out the statement. Please publicize this document online. I hand Tusk the draft of the document I've written up while he was on the way. Concerning our alliance with Demon King Motoki, Demon King Motoki, one of our allies, has spread information on the internet using the name of the Asta Empire without our permission. We clearly express our regret over this action. As such, we officially announce that we will immediately call off the alliance with Demon King Motoki should he use the name of the Asta Empire without permission in the future to make announcements on the internet. This should make it impossible for the pig to widely announce things to many people by using the internet. And even if he breaks that promise, I can unreservedly revoke the alliance with him. The pig's breach of faith was one of the reasons for this time's defeat, but the combat forces of the Toyama humans were genuinely powerful, too. In that case I'll try to cut through the Toyama prefecture while using that pig. I started to proceed with my preparations while heading for a future that finally came into sight. Chapter 284, Fuss. After assembling my leaders in the conference room, I started a strategy meeting. Gay, you are to constantly monitor the pig, Demon King Motoki. Okay, next up is the search for the enemy. I guess I'll assign Subaru. No, just to be safe, I'll go with the elf Sarah. Sarah, take your core and investigate this area, I ordered her while pointing at a part of the map spread out in front of us. What should I do if we run into enemies? Make sure to kill them all. In case of a huge group, I permit you to pull back. Count on me. Sarah does a playful army salute. Huh? Why you sending Sarah to such a place? Have you given up on that fortress? No, I haven't. So you're going to pull Sarah off the invasion then? Takaharu speaks up against my baffling instruction. That's what it means, yes. Huh? No, it ain't no particular problem even if someone like Sarah isn't round, but her magic ain't half bad, right? Though she's far below me in ability, of course. Apparently hating the idea of praising Sarah quite a bit, Takaharu talks in a very roundabout way. Hi, Takachi, you're totally feeling anxious about me not being around, aren't you? Huh? Don't be stupid. I haven't said anything like that. Takaharu roughly denies Sarah's teasing. There's no doubt about Sarah being a valuable combat asset. Shinchi, did you, praise me just now? Am I gonna die tomorrow or something? Do you want to die? I mean, it'd be a waste to let you vanish just like that, so want to have a try at dying socially? I threaten Sarah while looking in Subaru's direction. No, I was just kidding. Shinchi, you're always kind. So please, stop riling up that thing. It's said that marriage is a graveyard, but I do have confidence in my ability to build a happy family. Oh, Shinsama. Polygamy is allowed in the Asta Empire, right? Subaru starts to blather about something that's manifold crueler than my original punishment. Returning to the main topic, we'll attack Nanto Fortress tomorrow and the days after as well. But we won't go at it seriously. What do you mean by that? I guess you could describe it as faking an invasion. I plan to limit the battles to small skirmishes. Huh? Why? The muscle-brained Takaharu apparently dislikes this strategy. It's because it'd be tough to take the fortress with a frontal attack. So what's the idea then? I'll use a scheme. I explained the strategy we'd use from now on. Shion, what's up? Am I needed for your plan? I'll need you for the finishing touches. When are those going to take place? In 2 to 3 weeks. Would it be alright for me to do something else in the meantime? Takaharu, belligerent as he is, tends to hate passive strategies. I considered his request for a little while, and realized that he wouldn't get any turn during the first part of the strategy. I don't particularly mind, but what are you planning to do? I'm gonna retrain my men. Where? Some random domain round here would be bad. Where's that around here of yours? Oh well, whatever. Go and play at some random Gifu domain. Sure, it ain't gonna be playing round but trainin', though. Does anyone else have questions or requests? I survey my leaders, but there's no other selfish leader like Takaharu. Okay, please proceed according to plan, starting with tomorrow. I finished the meeting and told my leaders to go back to their previous pastime. Section 5 p.m. on the next day. I departed towards Nanto Fortress in order to uphold my promise with the pig. 5:50 p.m. Just like the other day, the pig starts his invasion before the appointed time. I observe the pig's invasion through gate. Phew, ha ha ha. Tonight we are going to attack your fortress together with our sworn friend Shion, one of the 13 evil stars. At the same time again, I forbade the pig to announce our attack on the internet, but he has apparently interpreted it as it being no problem to tell the enemy directly. Exposing our invasion in the same way as last time, we shall attack the Toyama fortress while our sworn friend Shion will handle the Nanto fortress. We shall bring your defense line to fall. The pig is even as kind as telling the humans the target of our attack, although it's just through my smartphone. It physically pains me to listen to pig's voice and watch the pig's face, so I close my phone. The pig has started his invasion. We're going to start as well. Together with my subordinates, I begin to advance on Nanto fortress. Just like the other day, a phalanx unit has taken up position in front of the fortress. Proceed up to a range where our arrows will hit. With Iron's core in the lead, we march far enough for our ranged attacks to hit. Fire. In accordance with my order, countless arrows and spells rain down on the phalanx unit. The arrows shot at us from the fortress are being repelled by the shields of Iron's core while the phalanx unit blocks out attacks with their shields. We perform this farce of a skirmish for around 3 hours, and then retreat after the pig pulls out and reinforcements come our way from Toyama City. Just like yesterday. On the next day, we repeat the same farce. 2 days later I threw goblins and ghouls, the units with the best cost performance, at the enemy since it'd only invite suspicions if I overdid it with the farce. 3 days later I repeated the farce again. Just like this we continued this way of skirmishing over a period of 3 weeks. Chapter 285, Beginning of the Scheme. 23rd day since we've begun a simultaneous invasion with Motoki. Ring ling ring. Today as well the melody announcing a disgusting caller has been playing on my smartphone since morning. The caller is the pig, Demon King Motoki. Shion, I've heard rumors that you've finished at a skirmish yesterday as well. But is that true? What do you define as a skirmish? I've had it with the word games. Your real power as a member of the 13 evil stars isn't anything like that, right? When are you going to get serious? I'm always serious, though. If you're going to say all that, your side has retreated early on yesterday as well. No? Our forces are puny. So we've been fighting at our best so far. I see. Then I'll give you the same answer. We're fighting at our best. I know of your true strength, sworn friend Shion. There's no way that this is all you can do. What do you know about me anyway? Oh well, whatever. Let's assume that I'm not being serious about this for argument's sake. Tell me the reason why I would inform you about my schedule to launch a serious invasion. It's that we're sworn friends. We've become one in body and soul. If we're one in body and soul, you can read my thoughts. No? GRML. If I can't read your movements, I won't be able to match mine either, right? Match your movements to what? Are mutual. No need to continue. I don't care anyway. Let's stop wasting each other's time. I'll show you some kind of big movement within 1 week. Within a week, you say? We have to prepare as well, so the timing might be off somewhat. I can't endure listening to his revolting, whiny voice any longer, and thus I end the call from my side. Now then, I think it's about time, huh? I use my smartphone to contact a certain subordinate. Aye, Shinchi, is everything ready? All perfect. We can start at any time. Okay, we'll carry it out tonight then. Please take care of the final patrols. Everything is ready. I suppose I'll crush this stagnated flow. I assembled my leaders and informed them about tonight's operation. Section 5:30 p.m. As usual, the pig starts early with his attack on Toyama Fortress. 6 p.m. The Asta Empire advances on the Nanto Fortress. 6:30 p.m. In the middle of the skirmish, I have a huge group of ghouls charge the phalanx unit. At the same time, I'm standing at a depopulated farming area 5 kilometers north from the Toyama Fortress. Sarah has finished checking that no humans are to be found within a radius of 3 kilometers around my current position. Of course the humans have set up a surveillance system since demon kings have been usurping uninhabited areas. But the surveillance focuses on the master of the neighboring domain, Demon King Motoki. And right now, their surveillance target is in the middle of attacking Toyama Fortress. We've also finished the investigation of the patrols in the surroundings, but Subaru's unit has slain those patrols earlier. We've also found out the locations and types of the surveillance cameras. Right now is the hot phase where the Asta Empire and Motoki are launching their farce against the humans of Toyama. Although it's a farce, it's still a deadly one. Many humans concentrate their attention on Nanto Fortress and Toyama Fortress, the phenomenon triggered as a result of that. Rain. You have started rain. Rain has been announced to the hostile entities within its effective range. Please remove all hostile entities in range within 180 minutes. Alert. Hostile forces confirmed within the effective range. Please eliminate them at once. Display map of effective range. Yes. No. Is my rain on an uninhabited plot of land? All hands, keep a close eye on the surroundings. If you spot any enemy forces, kill them at once. While giving my telepathic order, I deploy my subordinates in all directions. 8:30 p.m. Motoki begins to retreat. At the same time, the humans of Toyama City move towards Nanto Fortress. 60 minutes left until my reign is finished. 9:10 p.m. The ghoul unit I've prepared in advance has been completely annihilated. Kotetsu, whom I've entrusted with the attack on the fortress, continues the farce while focusing on ranged attacks. 9:30 p.m. Rain finished. I resolved myself for a bit of fighting, but the rain finished all too quickly. Showing off, I used domain creation to design the sector in a way that made it clear to anyone what had happened here. The Asta Empire had established a sector merely 2 kilometers away from the Toyama Fortress section. As I'm setting up my new sector, ring, my smartphone plays the melody warning me of unpleasant pig whining. What is the meaning of that? That as in what? The pig is shouting as soon as I pick up the call. The sector that has appeared north of Toyama Fortress. Ah. You're talking about that? It was an open plot of land, so I did a rain on it. I haven't heard anything about this. Was there any need for me to tell you? Oh, so far as it goes, I did tell you before that I'd show you a big movement within a week's time. I haven't heard anything about the details. Besides, it wasn't within a week's time, was it? Today is included within a week's time. No? If it was going to be today, you could have told me so, right? Didn't you deceive me? Apparently quite enraged, the pig is oinking around to an annoying extent. I deceived you? What are you talking about? Just when did I deceive you? Why did you hid today's plan? Tell me, it was for the sake of deceiving me, wasn't it? Hey, I've been silently listening for a while now, but didn't you misunderstand something? What am I supposed to misunderstand about this? What's our relationship? Sworn friends. Sworn friends. In short, we've formed an alliance. For this alliance we've agreed to not attack each other, and, as a big service towards you, I've accepted for us to invade Toyama simultaneously. Correct. You have promised to cooperate with me to take down the humans of Toyama. But you've performed a grandstand play while deceiving me, huh? Aren't you misunderstanding something? Are you my master or something? Do I require your permission for anything I do? That's not what I mean. But, as sworn friends, we should mutually. Don't get carried away, okay? I've kept my promise with you and attacked Toyama's humans alongside you while also not invading your domain. No matter what I might do otherwise, I've got no duty to inform you about any of it, correct? But then the meaning of the alliance, huh? Are you telling me to become your slave? No. For an alliance of equals, we're plenty equal, aren't we? I've kept the promises you suggested. So you just need to stay silent and keep your promises as well. I understand. But, next time, even next time I have absolutely no intention to inform you about what I'm planning to do. If you dislike it, we can cancel the alliance right now and here. What's it gonna be? I got it. I've ended up becoming atypically emotional, but I was able to argue down Motoki. This spelled the successful end of the first phase of my invasion into Toyama. Chapter 286, Strategy 1. On the day after I usurped the land north of Toyama Fortress, Motoki launched an invasion just like the days before without any way to break out of the deadlock, despite being suspicious of me. And thus, the farce continued again, without any change. On the fifth day, when everyone believed that we'd return to the same boring stalemate as before, 5:30 p.m., Motoki began his attack against Toyama Fortress like a one-trick pony. 6 p.m. The corps led by Ayan, Chloe, and Layla started their attack against Nanto Fortress in order to unfold the next act of the farce. At the same time, I began my advance from the new sector near Toyama Fortress with my subordinates. In accordance with our agreement, our Rasta Empire starts its attack against Toyama Fortress. I loudly announced to the humans at the fortress, who had deployed a defense line against Motoki's forces as they were attacking from the east, from the northern direction, launching a surprise attack against them. The defense of Toyama Fortress had been set up to oppose Motoki's forces and thus they were completely unprepared for our attack. Tonight is the only chance for a surprise attack to work. Go, 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 kill whatever stands in your way. It's a full buffet of experience points. We charge at the humans' flank while they're performing the farce of facing Motoki's battle line. Let's go, you lot. Takaharu's corps is leading the charge. Takaharu has transformed into a beast king from the get-go, and is now swooping down on the humans like a brute while leading his highly mobile werewolves. WWWH, what's going on? Enemy attack. Shin's forces are attacking us from Aga. Calm down. The humans are unable to cope with the abrupt change in the battle flow after having gone through a farce for close to a month now. They're being overrun by Takaharu's corps. Takachi, dodge them all. I'm gonna rain down some fire arrows on the humans. Okay, so it's kinda like getting a weather forecast from me. Anyway, fire arrow. Sarah's corps showers the humans with fire arrows. NG, that was fucking dangerous. You dumb elf. Or, that's bad mouthing. I warned you just now, didn't I? Sarah complains loudly, but in reality she has her corps aimed deeper into the human camp so as to not hit Takaharu and his men. At a glance, their exchange sounds like nothing but their usual horsing around, but their teamwork is actually flawless. Furtherly, Master, us too. We cannot afford to fall behind any further. I know, Ku. All of you will join the fray. Being urged by the hot-blooded Kuchilane, Katetsu's corps follows Takaharu's, beginning their assault. A rain of magic. Takaharu's corps that rampages smack down in the middle of the human camp, and Katetsu's corps that joins in as well. The humans, who've become complacent thanks to the ever-repeating farce, fall into a state of panic. For things to work out this smoothly, Rina, Hibiki, Subaru, we're going to advance with the whole army. Trample down the humans. I order all corps to attack, and then join in myself to earn some experience points as well. Section 30 minutes after the start of our attack against Toyama Fortress, Motoki's forces, who've gotten a grasp on the situation at last, start to move. Again. Keep going. Keep going. We'll follow Shin's attack. The elf forces led by Motoki launch an attack on the humans who have lost all order and ranks after experiencing our surprise attack. The battlefield, where three forces mingled with each other, turned into even more of a chaotic pandemonium. 3 hours after the start of our attack against Toyama Fortress. Usually the farce would have ended long ago by now and both parties would have withdrawn, but the intense battle raged on even further. Reinforcements. The reinforcements from Toyama City have arrived. The human battle camp becomes all noisy upon the arrival of their allies. Shin, what are we going to do? Rina asks for our further plans after coming close to me. All hands. Continue the battle without moving from the spot. You're forbidden to push the front line any further. Rina, eradicate all enemies between us and Takaharu's core with your core so that Takaharu and his men can retreat at any given moment. Understood. After hearing my order, Rina swiftly moves to put it into practice. Subaru, come with me. Okay. Subaru and I move close to the front line, acting as clearers to make it easier for Motoki and his forces to march on Toyama Fortress. With the reinforcements having arrived, the humans' morale has clearly been boosted. However, because we've shown our will to resist to the bitter end, the battlefield is becoming increasingly gruesome. 1 hour after the arrival of the reinforcements, Motoki's forces have been pushing deeper and deeper while being lured into it by me. Tonight we shall reach a decision. Everyone, use all your strength. Motoki's troops become all hot-blooded by his encouragement, but you know, it'd be a problem for me. If things were to be settled tonight, I think it should be time any moment now. It'd be fine to pull back just like that, but it's such a great chance. Let's boost the humans' morale a bit. All hands, we'll start to retreat in 5 minutes. Everyone, get ready to withdraw. I order my subordinates to prepare the retreat. Subaru will give the signal for the retreat. All hands, smoothly pull back without any panic. 5 minutes later. Subaru, come close to me, and shout what I tell you. I instruct Subaru telepathically so that those around us won't be able to hear. Subaru nods, and just when he's next to me, Shinsama. Shinsama has been wounded. Retreat. All hands, we're retreating at once. Subaru screams at the top of his lungs what I've told him to say. All hands, we're pulling out. 13 Evil Station has been wounded. Now's the perfect chance. Mop up the monsters. Yeah, the humans' morale leaps upon the news of my injury. They rush out to launch a counter-offensive, but having finished our preparations to retreat, we quickly withdraw from the battlefield. Meanwhile the forces of the pig are stranded right in the middle of the high-spirited humans. Chapter 287, Strategy 2. Having retreated from Toyama Fortress, I decided to watch the fate of the pig that got left behind. The pig's forces were stranded amidst the humans. Because of our retreat, the morale of the pig's forces has plummeted while the humans' morale got boosted. As if the battle situation just an hour ago was all but a dream, the pig's forces are being overwhelmed while the humans have become completely motivated. Factors influencing morale really play a big role during group battles, huh? I watch the battle progress through my smartphone by using Who's Remained Behind to observe. Right now I can fully witness the effect of morale, which is so hard to express with tangible values. Has it been your goal for Motoki's forces to be eradicated by the humans? Self-edged strategist Canon peeks at my smartphone, lured by my watching the stream. No. I'd be slightly troubled if the pig got defeated here. Eh? Is that so? Canon shows her surprise, probably not having expected my answer. That pig has been a major pain in the ass so far, but he can still be used for my own goals. He still has use? How? And will Motoki actually be able to survive under these circumstances? He'll probably be alright, I think. Should he really find himself in a predicament, I wouldn't mind sending out reinforcements, but very likely it won't be a problem for him. As I kept watching the pig afterwards, a huge number of reinforcements arrived from the western direction of Toyama Fortress, Motoki's domain, to rescue him. Just as I thought, he's been holding back reserves. Huh? Huawawa? So it was your objective to decrease Motoki's combat forces, right? Well, That's a part of it. But my true aim lies elsewhere. True aim? You'll understand before long, I'm sure. But what are you going to do if Motoki captures Tatama Fortress? It's very unlikely if you also take his combat forces into consideration, but since it's absolutely impossible for Motoki to take the fortress in the truest sense, that worry is unnecessary, I'd say. But if we continue to attack as well, the humans' forces will slowly dwindle, so saying that it's absolutely impossible. Canon apparently fears the possibility of Motoki expanding his domain, taking it in the truest sense. In other words, a reign is impossible for Motoki. After all, it's indispensable to remove all enemy forces within a radius of 3 kilometers in order to succeed with a reign. Oh, I see. Then it's certainly impossible since we're within that range, the sector I'm currently at. The land north of Tatama Fortress that I took from the humans makes it impossible for Motoki to do a reign on Tatama Fortress. Now then, things are going to become busy starting with tomorrow. I steadily proceeded with the preparations towards the future as I had imagined it. Section. On the next day, I had an army advance in front of Nanto Fortress to act out the usual farce while starting an attack on Tatama Fortress with the main force. Although it didn't take the form of a surprise attack like yesterday, we invaded for real to a certain extent. With us doing a serious battle on the same battlefield, even the pig couldn't pull off any fake retreats, and thus fought seriously to an extent, even though he didn't go too deeply like yesterday. Although we were somewhat serious, our side didn't intend to attack for real. On the other hand, Motoki's side was somewhat half-hearted, although they fought seriously to a degree as they were conscious of us watching them. And lastly, the humans of Toyama defended for their life. The offense and defense at Tatama Fortress with those 3 forces jumbled together continued for many days while whittling away the combat forces of all sides. After 2 weeks I started to feel like the intensity of the humans' resistance was growing. I guess it's about time now. Rina, Kotetsu, Takaharu, Sarah, Hibiki, the farce is over. Attack for real today. Roger. As you command. Sure thing. I got tired of waiting. All as you desire, Master. I've gathered Rina and the others, who've been the main force of the Tatama Fortress attack, in one place. Shin, do you have some kind of strategy? Rina asks me. I'll leave the full command of the upcoming attack against Tatama Fortress to you, Rina. We gonna go at it for real, right? You ain't joining, Shin? Rina becomes speechless at my words, allowing Takaharu to cut in. I'll usurp Nanto Fortress in the meantime. My true aim had been to make the Toyama humans to focus their forces on Tatama Fortress and thus create an opening to do a reign on Nanto Fortress. We're a decoy then? Being a decoy is, like, totally a downer. Seriously, I don't mind becoming a decoy, but can a reign of Nanto Fortress succeed without being there? Takaharu and Sarah bear their discontent with my strategy while Rina appears to harbor objections. You guys are the main force, and exactly for that very reason you'll work as a decoy. Close to 3 months have passed since I've started my invasion of the Toyama Prefecture. For me as Demon King it's only reasonable, but even Rina, Kotetsu, Sarah, Takaharu, and Hibiki have become quite famous as leaders of the invasion's main force. Therefore, not only the humans, but even Motoki would suspect my scheme if these leaders were suddenly missing from the battlefield. Turning this around, neither of the 2 forces would expect it to be a decoy. If all of the main force's leaders were present, besides, according to Gade, the main force of the humans, who have been defending Nanto Fortress, have headed over to Tatama Fortress, too. At present, Nanto Fortress is quite short of hands. If you say so, Shin, I'll simply carry out the mission assigned to me. I don't really get it, but I can raise hell over here, right? It kinda pisses me off, but I'll play decoy for you. Rina, I leave things to you, if possible. Please lure out Motoki's reserve forces like the other day. I'll try my best. Rina agrees to my words while looking me straight into the eyes. All right, we're going to carry out the strategy from now on. All hands, Start getting ready. We began our final preparations for the sake of bringing the fast to a close. Chapter 288, Strategy 3. 6 p.m. Timing it with the start of Motoki's attack on Toyama Fortress. The core of Rina, Kotetsu, Takaharu, Sarah, and Hibiki also begin attacking the fortress. At the same time, the core of Chloe, Layla, Iron, Red, and Flora departed towards Nanto Fortress to perform the usual fast. Decoy 4, stand by at a location that's 3 kilometers away from Toyama Fortress. Keep looking at the smartphone I handed you. I order the damp pretending to be me, Decoy 4, to act like he's about to launch a rain. The movements of Decoy 4, in combination with our military forces exceeding the usual amount, suggest a rain. Now then, I wonder whether the enemy is going to fall for it. Ring ring. As I'm watching the situation on the Toyama Fortress front on my smartphone, my phone plays the melody informing me of an incoming call. The name of the caller displayed on the screen is Pig aka Motoki. He sure reacted quickly. Is he monitoring me? Decoy 4, press your smartphone against your ear. I pick up the call after handing out my order to Decoy 4. Shin speaking. I'm busy right now. If you've got business with me, keep it short. Shin. What's going on? The disgusting, unruly voice of the pig offends my ear with its squealing. As in what? Today you've fielded a lot more troops than usual. Haven't you? Really? Don't give me that. Isn't it very obvious? I hold the phone away from my ear because of the pig's loud squealing. And is there any problem with there being many troops present? The promise that I'd rule over Toyama Fortress. I don't remember having ever given you such a promise. Why you bastard, what are you planning to do? A rain. Isn't that obvious? Though the target is Nanto Fortress and not Toyama Fortress, I shall not permit your intolerable insolence. Don't make me repeat myself over and over again. I don't need your permission for anything I do. Ugh. You're not going to concede? If you wish to cancel the alliance, I won't mind even if you withdraw. You know, we have more than enough combat forces to handle the rest ourselves. Having said that, we're still allies. So I'll promise you that we'll pull back without doing a rain, if you enter Toyama Fortress before I do. Who guarantees me that you'll keep that promise? In the first place, an alliance is a verbal promise based on mutual trust, isn't it? If you can't believe my words, then get lost. Ugh. I'll have you keep that promise no matter what. He squealed and then terminated the call from his side. Decoy 4, put the smartphone away. Things have proceeded a lot more beneficial than I had expected. My plan was to call the pig and inform him. Today I'll do a rain on Nanto Fortress. But the pig called me from his side. Annihilating the humans in Toyama Fortress within 24 hours is impossible. I guess I'll at least have him do his utmost for my sake. I watched the battle over Toyama Fortress through my smartphone. Section 6:30 p.m. Due to the Asta Empire and Pig's military forces being a lot bigger than usual, the humans of Toyama Fortress quickly requested reinforcements from Toyama City. A fierce battle unfolded in front of the fortress. Since it's such a great chance, I'd love to whittle down the Pig's forces. Takaharu, make a big detour and wedge yourself between the two elf lords hustling in the front row. Move it. You're underway. Takaharu starts to move according to my instruction. Once he arrives at the spot I've designated, he begins to fight the humans in front of him. Takaharu, pull the two elf lords apart by gradually moving your core north. Hibiki, control the humans' aggro. Move south while pulling them. Hibiki's core clanks their shields, pulling the humans' aggro on themselves while moving southwards. Takaharu, Hibiki, retreat at once upon my signal. I look for the perfect timing while watching the movements of Takaharu, Hibiki and the two elf lords. Rina, scold Hibiki and Takaharu and have them retreat. Hibiki, Takaharu, you've moved too far out. Come back. I'm not sure whether Rina's voice has reached the two, but as long as the pig's subordinates have heard it, it'll serve as a nice excuse. Takaharu, Hibiki, retreat. As a result of Takaharu and Hibiki pulling back, the two elf lords ended up stranded amidst the humans after being separated, and got swallowed whole. Did this allow us to kill leader class Kin? I continued to order my subordinates, slowly reducing the numbers of the pig's elites. 8 p.m. It was the time when the usual farce would come to an end, replaced by silence dominating the area around the fortress, but today it was different as the battle was still raging on. The humans have been throwing their combat forces into that battle without any hesitation, resulting in a battle where the tides kept changing ever so fast. I think it's about time now. Yataro, Izoi, Subaru, we're going to launch a rain on Nanto Fortress. I began my advance on Nanto Fortress alongside the defense unit. Chapter 289, Strategy 4. Speed is going to be the crucial part of this rain. Eradicate all enemies as soon as possible upon my signal. The ever-shifting battle at Toyama Fortress is still going on. I don't think that the humans have the leeway to send reinforcements our way, but make assurance double sure. I silently wait after assigning each leader to their station. Chloe, Layla, Iron, Red, Flora, are you ready? My leaders nod. Yataro, Izoi, Subaru, are you ready? The leaders, who are usually tasked with handling our defenses, nod as well. We're going to start our invasion of Nanto Fortress now. All hands, eliminate the enemy. In accordance with my signal, my subordinates swoop down at the fortress all at once. Rain. Meanwhile I close my eyes and chant in my mind while holding my right hand towards the ground. The ground trembles, and at the tip of my right hand forms a black vortex with a diameter of around 30 centimeters, as if swallowing the space around it. The usual array of messages streams down across the display on my smartphone. You have started rain. Rain has been announced to the hostile entities within its effective range. Please remove all hostile entities in range within 180 minutes. Alert. Hostile forces confirmed within the effective range. Please eliminate them at once. Display map of effective range. Yes. No. Without even checking the stream of messages, I take out my megaphone. Humans of Nanto Fortress. My name is Shion of the Asta Empire. Did you hear the alarm of rain? Let me apologize in advance, but this time I unfortunately don't have the time to leisurely offer you the option of surrender. Betting my name as one of the 13 evil stars which you people have attached to me, I shall make an announcement. We will eradicate all those who take hostile actions against us within 3 hours. Those valuing their lives are to discard their weapons and lie down on their bellies. Regard this as my final warning. I shall pray that you do not waste your lives meaninglessly. After finishing my speech, I check the map on my smartphone. Roughly 30,000 humans are currently inside the range of my rain. The number of red dots, those harboring hostile intentions, amounts to approximately 30%. Is it maybe because the main force of Nanto Fortress has moved to Toyama Fortress as reinforcement? The enemy forces number a lot less than I had assumed. Or did the enemy's spirit possibly break due to our more than 10,000 troops, the biggest army of the Asta Empire so far? At present, there are virtually no subordinates protecting our domain. In other words, it's possible to invade all the way down to the last floor of any sector unhindered. However, as a side effect of me having raised my level, I doubt that it's possible to reach the last floor of a sector within 3 hours. In short, it's a tactic based on level and numbers. Only now, after succeeding to grow into one of the biggest in Japan, the Asta Empire showed its true might. Section. Ho ho ho, so this is an invasion, huh? Yataro laughs as he's experiencing his first invasion battle while shooting a rain of spells on the humans with his subordinates. Tonight the moon is very beautiful, isn't it? Now, come, thank mine lord, Shinsama, for being allowed to become his nourishment. Izoi swings his spear at the front line, reaping the lives of many humans. Izoi don't know, that line wasn't bad at all. Disaster 1. The moon is definitely beautiful tonight, isn't it? It's almost as if it's blessing us, Commander-in-Chief. It's time for our Team J to unleash its true power, isn't it? Ha ha ha, it is just as you say. Team J. Let us show them our might. The former demon kings led by Subaru overwhelmed the humans with individual prowess. You lot live up to Shinsama's expectations. The farce is over. We shall exhibit our power. Chloe, Layla, and their troops devastate the human defenses as if to vent their anger over having had to continue with the farce for so long. The Asta Empire's forces, which excel in individual strength and numerical might, mow down the humans in the blink of an eye, and watching it happen, the heart of one human after the other breaks. 60 minutes since the start of my reign. At this point, the number of red dots has already fallen far below 1,000. 90 minutes since the start of my reign. A group of ogres led by Red destroys the door blocking our entrance into Nanto Fortress. Ha ha ha. Team J. We shall be the ones to charge first. Ah, bastard. Don't screw round with me. Subaru's Team J surges into the fortress through the broken door. To all forces of Asta Empire, you're forbidden to attack the people lying on their bellies. The humans exhibiting hostility are to be slaughtered without delay or mercy. Using the order to my subordinates, I tell the humans that surrender is still a valid option. The number of red dots is 100. I guess it's time to do the fine-tuning. Chloe, 13 people around here possess hostile intentions. Annihilate them. I order Chloe while using my megaphone so as to inform the humans as well. Who are the fools opposing Shinsama? As Chloe gradually defeated the humans in the vicinity, the 13 red dots vanished from my map. Afterwards I continued to hand out finer instructions. 120 minutes since the start of my reign. All red dots within the range of rain had been annihilated. Chapter 290, Strategy 5. Roughly 1 hour after we gained full control of the Nanto Fortress, I checked the remaining time for rain to complete. 5 minutes. 3 minutes. 1 minute, 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 1 second. The black vortex in front of my eyes lights up and then disappears after the light converges. A silver orb, true core, manifests in the space where the black vortex has been. Rain finished is the plain message shown on my smartphone screen. Good work everyone, I call out to the subordinates around me. Ho ho ho. It was my first invasion battle, but in the end it was a bit anticlimactic, nothing less of an ingenious supreme ruler. Kainzawa's. No, you're the Zhuge of Western Japan. Was it Zhuge of Kainzawa before that? I've leveled up quite a bit then. But, just as usual, I end up with the uncoolest nicknames possible. Using my smartphone, I transfer the management of the sector I just conquered to Yataro. Yataro. I leave the aftermath to you. Roger. After getting his confirmation, I check the situation over at Toyama Fortress. Ooh. They're quite desperate over there, aren't they? The humans Toyama have thrown lots of combat forces into the battle in order to protect the fortress. Their troops are fighting quite frantically. Motoki has also deployed a number of troops which is bigger than anything I've seen from him before. His subordinates are desperately battling the humans, and my subordinates are. It looks like they're at a loss on how to continue, but in reality they're fighting smartly, emphasizing safety first to avoid pointless casualties. While tabbing through various bovies of my subordinates, I get a read on the entire war situation. From the eyes of the humans, the biggest threat poses Takaharu. He slays one human after the other, relying on the characteristic of a beast demon lord, the high mobility, and his own overwhelming might. To all subordinates currently invading Toyama Fortress, the usurpation of Nanto Fortress has finished successfully. All hands, prepare for withdrawal. Receiving my order, Rina and Katetsu's corps take the leading role in securing a path of retreat. Okay, are they done with that? Then I guess I'll give the humans of Toyama a little encouragement as a parting gift. Takaharu, flee. Pretend that you've been defeated and retreat. Everyone else, match Takaharu's escape and begin retreating. Ha? Are you fucking with me? After hearing my telepathic message, Takaharu looks up towards the sky, loudly venting his frustration. Takaharu, this is an order. Would you prefer me to tie down your freedom with orders? Is it a child's squabble you're looking for? This is my last warning. Flee. I give him an ultimatum in the shape of a directive and not an order that would force him to abide. TSK. You're the boss. Despite being unhappy about it, Takaharu lets himself being hit by the sword of a nearby human. Fuck. I was done in. Retreat. We're retreating. Also, I'm gonna remember your mug. So feel proud, you bastard are the only human who ever forced me to fall back. Takaharu spat out a sharp parting remark, and ran away. The Beast King, Aster Empire's Beast King has fled. Don't let him get away. Take him down. Get revenge for our comrades. Watching Takaharu flee, the humans' morale skyrockets. They try to pursue Takaharu, but Takaharu's core, which excels at mobility, passes through the retreat path created by Rina and Katetsu's core, quickly leaving the battlefield. What's going on? What happened? Motoki flies into panic when he witnesses my subordinates withdrawing. Motoki-sama, Demon King Shin's troops have retreated. What shall we do? Motoki surveys the battlefield while grinding his teeth in vexation. Can we win by ourselves? If it's now, Shin isn't present. If we succeed with the rain, we'll be able to conquer this land. But Motoki is wavering whether he should press the attack or withdraw. Now then, how's Motoki going to choose? I watch the conclusion of Motoki's decision. Now's the perfect chance. We shall show our power to the humans of Toyama. To Demon King Shin. So he's going to continue, huh? It looks like he's chosen to invade. I decided to watch the full outcome from my domain section. 6 hours after Rina's army corps had retreated from the battlefield around Tatama Fortress, the humans of Toyama and Motoki's troops are still washing blood with blood in front of the fortress. Whoa. That pig is really going at it. Shin, who do you think is going to win? If you set the pig failing at his reign as the victory condition for the humans, then it's going to be the humans. No? I readily answer Canon's question. But, the pig and his men are doing their best as well, aren't they? Even though they were no more than a decoy, Rina's forces defeated quite a few humans. And now that they've retreated, isn't he simply believing that this is going to be his last chance? The pig might have found himself in a corner where he can't easily retreat since he's already invested so many troops into this attack. Canon and I act like complete bystanders, trying to guess Motoki's current mental state. Oh well, pig or humans, it's only to our advantage when both sides whittle down their forces. Let us pray that the battle between them drags out for as long as possible. I cheered on both armies, which were locked in a deadly struggle, with a carefree attitude. Chapter 291, Strategy 6. 3 days after the reign of Nanto Fortress, the pig is awfully lively today as well. True, he has apparently held back quite a few combat forces, so he's been pushing onwards somewhat these days. Ever since that day, the pigs, Motoki's forces have continued to attack Tatama Fortress by ceaselessly sending out reinforcements. Is Demon King Motoki not going to retreat? Yatro utters as he watches the fierce battle between Motoki's troops and the humans of Toyama with me for a change after having visited my room. Doesn't he believe that I'd aim to steal the fruits of his labor if he pulls back? Huh. And you're not aiming for that? Yatro asks while looking slightly surprised. If it agrees with my schedule, I'll naturally go for it. I answer with a smile. Schedule? Right now we're busy. I'd really like both armies to give their best for a bit longer. Ho ho ho, Shin. You're really someone you don't want to have as an enemy. Uh-oh, my CP has recovered, so I'm off. Sure. Take care. Have a nice trip. Leaving behind Yatro and Canon, I exit the room. Over the last 3 days, I've carried out 3 reigns on land in the Toyama prefecture. While the cat's away and so on, I've been proceeding with the conquest of the areas around Nanto Fortress. 1 week has passed since I conquered Nanto Fortress. At first I thought that the humans were holding the advantage in the battle over Tatama Fortress, but the troops hidden away by Motoki were more than I had estimated. Now it's become very likely for Motoki to win this fight. A part of the humans has started to withdraw towards Toyama City. At this rate, the pig is going to win this. Shin-san, what are you going to do? Why are you asking? If it goes on like this, the fortress will be taken away by the pig's reign, won't it? For better or worse, I'm in alliance with the pig, albeit a rather dysfunctional one, so I can't obstruct him too openly. Can I? That means you'll give Tatama Fortress to the pig? Do you think so? I don't, answers Canon at once. Correct. Well, I'm waiting for the right time. I sneer with a daring smile. Section 3 hours later. Ring ring. My smartphone plays the melody of an incoming call. The caller displayed on the screen is Gate. My lord, Demon King Motoki has started. Good job. Gate, return to the domain. The time is ripe. Tusk, get everything ready. I contact the one in charge of the Aster Empire's IT. All hands, a large-scale battle will begin in 2 hours. Everyone, prepare yourself for an offensive, matching the timing of Motoki having started his reign. The moment I had waited for, I send out an order to all my subordinates. Sacrifice, begin your mission. I order Sacrifice, the new Damprodkin who would play the key role in the upcoming operation. Upon my order, Sacrifice steps outside my domain. The land currently contested by Motoki's reign. As Sacrifice slowly walks forward, 5 dampers, who I've assigned as Sacrifice's subordinates, and an artificial device, a drone steered by Tusk, follow him from behind. After NIE and his team continue to walk for a while, they encounter a group of excited elves who are holding bows and swords. There, it's them. Motoki-sama has ordered us to get rid of them swiftly. From Motoki's point of view, Sacrifice's group is displayed as a single red dot on the smartphone. When starting a reign, only 3 types of dots will be displayed on the map. You don't have any way to tell who might represent those dots, and it's impossible to simultaneously check the situation of all subordinates during a reign. For the sake of succeeding with his reign, Motoki has sent out his troops to eradicate all hostile elements, the red dots. Why you bastards don't know of Demon King Shin-sama's bloodkin, Sacrifice Shin. Just as I had instructed him, Sacrifice mentions my name, but there's no way that the elves would lend an ear while faithfully carrying out Motoki's order. They slash their swords down on Sacrifice and his dampers. Sacrifice and his men die at the hands of the elves without any resistance, as I had forbidden them to attack through an order. I use my smartphone to call Tusk. Tusk, did you catch that? Perfectly, Sue. I'm going to head over to you right away. Get everything ready for the stream. Gotcha, Sue. I quickly moved to Tusk's workroom. Thanks for waiting. Is everything ready? We can go live at any time, Sue. I position myself in front of the camera Tusk is pointing at, and take a deep breath. All right, I'm ready. Upon my call, Tusk raises 3 fingers and begins to count down. Dear humans and Demon King of the world, I am the ruler of the Aster Empire, Shin. First, allow me to address the Japanese government, which is probably going to check this video. Could you please wait a bit before you erase it? I intend to pass on information that might save the lives of many humans in this video. If you're going to forsake the lives of many humans, inhabitants of the Toyama prefecture, as a government, feel free to delete this as usual. Otherwise, continue to listen. I speak into the camera after Tusk has counted down. Please take a look at this video. Once I signal Tusk with my eyes, the video earlier filmed by the drone plays back on the monitor in front of me. Today, my subordinates, my family, and above all, my cherished imperial citizens have been killed. Their murderers were elves under the command of Demon King Motoki. Some of you might not know, but our Aster Empire is allied with Demon King Motoki, and together we've been enduring fierce fights against the humans of Toyama in order to survive. I poured as much emotion, hatred against Motoki, into my words as possible. We're living in turbulent times, and as such my kin, who lost his life this time, had likely resolved himself to die for the sake of my country's citizens. But it'd be one thing if he had died in the battle against the humans of Toyama. However, having been killed by my sword friend, Demon King Motoki, won't allow him to rest in peace, will it? Us Demon Kings can't join hands, you say? No, that's not true. We have built a very good relationship with Demon King Koru. Therefore, why did such a tragedy occur this time? I ask the viewers. I'm a Demon King, but I'll meet loyalty with loyalty. And likewise, I'll meet betrayal with purge. As ruler of the Aster Empire, I shall announce here and now. Tonight, on this occasion, I'm calling off the alliance with Demon King Motoki, and I shall also show the world the price one has to pay for harming our citizens. I publicly declare war on Motoki. using the stream. And lastly, humans of Toyama. Our Asta Empire is going to destroy Demon King Motoki from now on. If you do not get involved, we won't start a fight with you, but we shall eliminate all threats that might befall us at their root. If you have the resolve to perish, come to my domain. We shall greet you with all our might. That's all from me. When I lower my hand, the red lamp on the camera turns off. Now then, the stage has been set. I guess it's time to begin the pig extermination. I left Tusk's workroom. Chapter 292, versus Demon King Motoki 1. I had amassed all my forces except for a certain core. Henceforth, we're going to subjugate Demon King Motoki. Slaughter him and his forces with all your might, bearing a strong spirit that will allow us to annihilate him by today. All forces, Sortie, in high spirits, full of vigor and bloodlust. Takaharu's core rushed out of the domain first. Rina, Kotetsu, Hibiki, and Izao's forces climbed on trucks and then departed. The remaining core followed Takaharu's by foot. Now then, how is he going to move? Motoki is in the middle of his reign. Right now he should see how huge amounts of red dots having appeared on his smartphone, most likely throwing him in confusion. During a reign, a demon king can't move about. Hence, if Motoki chooses the careful approach of cancelling the reign and quickly retreating, things will become quite difficult from now on. However, if he feels even the slightest pang of greed, I swing myself on a motorbike, and hurry towards Motoki together with the trucks carrying Rina and the others. At the front line, Takaharu's beast core is already clashing with elf forces under Motoki's command. Yeah, come on. There's plenty of elves for everyone. You lazy bastards. Keep butchering them. Asta Empire. Why? Motoki's forces are confused after the attack by Takaharu's core, which was close to being an ambush, as they can't catch up with the situation. Ha? We're avenging our friends. It's revenge. What are you talking about? We're allies. Bah. Shut the fuck up. The elf, who seemed to be a kin, collapses after being ripped apart by Takaharu's claws. Earlier, Sacrifice and his dampers simply looked like red dots on Motoki's smartphone, and thus he'd probably ordered their removal. Subordinates can't disobey a Demon King's order. Turning it around, you could say that even subordinates have a certain degree of flexibility in their judgment as long as they don't receive any orders. Therefore, Motoki's subordinates have now fallen into a state of chaos. Time for my dashing entry. Let me tell you the weather forecast. It kinda looks like fire arrows might rain today around the Tatama fortress. Fire arrow. Fire arrow. Sarah's core releases a shower of fire arrows after having caught up with Takaharu and his forces. Shit. We're late to the show. All of you, show the foolish enemy our power. Chloe, Layla, Red, Iron, and Flora's core start their attack on Motoki's forces after having finally caught up with Takaharu. It looks like things are proceeding well at the front line. Riding my bike, I've also succeeded in drawing closer to Motoki, who's positioned further back. Get out of the trucks here for the moment. I ordered the trailing trucks after dismounting my bike. One subordinate after the other gets off the truck's loading tray. Rina, Kotetsu, Izao, Hibiki, open a path to Motoki. Roger. Affirmative. As you command. Understood. Rina and the others begin their assault on the group of elves standing in our way. Meanwhile I slowly walk through the path cut open by them. Dark Lance. While launching spells at the elves which are hard-pressed by my subordinates' attacks, a notification sound suddenly beeps on my smartphone as I continue to walk. The rain launched by Demon King Motoki was interrupted. Huh. So this is the message you get when a rain fails, huh? The pig has suspended his reign. Hurry to his Shion. What is this about? I was about to hurry over to Motoki now that his reign was interrupted, but it looks like he's coming to me instead. What is this about? You ask. I'll return those words right back at you, you asshole. I undauntedly shout back at the angry pig. Ultimately, my current plot is set for this to be a punishment against Motoki for having perpetrated a dishonorable offense. It'd be the act of a third-rate schemer to expressly explain the backsetting to the enemy. Hence, I'll continue to play my role in this plot to the very end. Shion, you bastard. At the very last moment, you're trying to play the victim? I had already expected that a filthy bastard like you would aim to profit from my hard work, but for you to attack me all of a sudden. What's going on here? Huh? Are you messing with me? You crappy pig? It was you piece of shit who slaughtered my cherished bloodkin in cold blood even though I didn't meddle with your business as promised. WWH What are you talking about? Just what is wrong with you? Motoki has absolutely no clue about the earlier incident with sacrifice, I guess. Even while pissed off, he's clearly confused. Don't tell me you didn't know how my bloodkin and 5 of his subordinates, who I had expressly sent over to congratulate you for your impending success with the rain, were slaughtered one-sidedly by your men. What are you blathering about? Stop with the false accusations. False accusations, you say? Do you think I'm stupid, or what? My dear bloodkin introduced himself as my envoy and wasn't allowed to even counterattack since I had sent him over on a peaceful mission, and yet, your subordinates slaughtered him and his men brutally. I don't know what you're talking about. I have absolutely no idea. Yeah, whatever. Die. I announce Motoki's death sentence. Wait. Aren't you making some kind of mistake? Are you sure? About one-sidedly betraying your ally? Everyone in this world will know of your foolish act. Don't worry. I have published a video proving how you have betrayed our alliance from your side, and announced that our alliance is officially over now. I haven't heard anything about that, as if I'd give a shit about your circumstances. For the time being, I'll have you atone for the sin of having killed my cherished subordinate. Calm down. Let's talk it over once more. If we do, Rina, Kotetsu, Izoi, Hibiki, annihilate the stupid traitors. Following my order, Rina and the others resume their attacks. Chapter 293, versus Demon King Motoki 2. Rina, Kotetsu, Izoi, and Hibiki's corps start to overrun Motoki's forces who can't stage a proper resistance as they're unable to follow the sudden turn of events. Dark Night Tempest. The raging storm of darkness swallows a group of elves. I actively participate in the attack to not miss this wonderful chance to obtain a great amount of experience points. Shion. Rina calls out to me as I work hard. What's up? Are we going to take down Demon King Motoki at this place? That's the idea. Then it'd be best to keep the usable kin alive. If we defeat Motoki, all his subordinates will become my subordinates. Since I can't create elves, they'll become valuable combat assets. But, no. This time we're going to destroy all those colluding with Motoki! Why you sure? Rina yelps in surprise. I calmly nod. The smart bloodkin, beginning with Rina, might try to capture them alive, going by the current flow of events, I guess. A message to all forces. Eradicate all forces siding with Motoki. Show them our rage, our overwhelming power. I deliberately use the megaphone, declaring my intent to all those around me. Having them annihilate all of Motoki's subordinates isn't grounded on emotions, however. It's a necessary, preparatory step for the future. Retreat. Retreat. Withdraw to our domain. Having heard my announcement, Motoki opts to immediately retreat. But, at this point, you can only call this decision too late. With the encirclement complete, we control the direction of Motoki's subordinates' retreat while eradicating them in the process. Motoki takes a detour to avoid our encirclement while heading for his domain. Meanwhile my subordinates and I chase Motoki's fleeing forces, slaughtering them one by one. Motoki's forces went through a fierce battle with the humans of Toyama over the last 3 days, and just when they were convinced of their victory, they received a declaration of war from me. Motoki's forces should be at their limit in regards to stamina and spirit. Thus, our pursued battle is showing results going well beyond the difference in strength that existed between our armies to begin with. Shit over there. If we get out over there. You guys, hold back Shion's forces. Everyone else, squeeze out your last reserves. Motoki sends a part of his subordinates our way, and charges a spot where our encirclement has thinned out. With a do-or-die spirit. Izoi, loosen up the enclosure. Upon my order, the corps led by Izoi, The point of Motoki's attack opens up a path for Motoki. Gufafafu. You got cold feet after facing my drive, huh? A little bit more. Just a tiny bit more. Everyone use your last strength. Motoki laughs loudly after having broke through the encirclement, but what faced him beyond? Ha ha ha. Ugly Pig King, we have been awaiting you. The sole core that didn't join our attack was Subaru's Team J. If you asked who might be the strongest subordinate in the Asta Empire, Takaharu, Kotetsu, Rina, or Izao's names would come up. But, if you asked about Asta Empire's strongest unit, the answer would unfortunately be Subaru's core that consists of former demon kings. Now, Team J, we are in the presence of Shinsama, so we must show him the full extent of our powers. The members of Team J start moving, matching Subaru's declaration. Calamity Zero, fallen hero Kazuki. Here I come. Kazuki, who has fallen in various meanings, cuts into Motoki's forces. Despite being like that, he's still strong. I got to admit Kazuki's strength has grown to a level almost rivaling Rina's. At some point, I had also sounded him out about becoming a core leader, but for some reason he adores Subaru, and thus I've let him remain Subaru's subordinate. Following Kazuki, a former Ogre Demon King, a former Vampire Demon King, a former Beast Demon King, and all the other former Demon Kings, I struggled to turn into my subordinates, start attacking Motoki's forces. Rina, Kotetsu, Izao, Hibiki, tighten the encirclement. We're going to take down Motoki here. We began our final attack on Motoki by crushing him from all directions. Chapter 294, vs. Demon King Motoki 3. My subordinates all at once swooped down on Motoki and his surviving elves. Team J, we are the main stars on this fine night. We shall honor the dumb pig with our best requiem. Excelling in individual strength, Subaru's core overruns Motoki's subordinates. Shin has ordered us to not let a single one of them get away. I see. I guess we'll also accomplish our duty. It's Shin's order, kill them all. Rina and Kotetsu cleverly command their core, locking up the elves in an ever tighter encirclement while mopping them up. All those fools shall become nourishment for Shinsama. Izao appears to be unaccustomed to leading a core, but he still slays one elf after the other, amply displaying his own strength. You lot, aren't you frustrated? The likes of CG elves are branded as pigs by Master. But, tell me, who are the pigs of the Asta Empire? Oa Inc. Who are the lowest, most inferior meat shields of the Asta Empire? Oa Inc. Very well. We shall reclaim our rightful title. Oa Inc. After Hibiki inspired his core orcs with some incomprehensible pep talk, they all charged the elves. Our forces excel Motoki's in everything, be it individual strength or numerical superiority. His elves are dying like flies. I'd say, it's checkmate. At this point, it's no battlefield any longer, but a slaughterhouse. And I joined the massacre as well. Section 15 minutes later. All elves except for Motoki have been cleaned up. Motoki himself has been cornered into a state close to death by Izao and Subaru. Izao, Subaru, step back. I restrain the two as they're about to finish off Motoki any moment. They immediately lower their weapons and step back. Passing between them, I approach Motoki. SSS Shin? No, Shinsama. Despite being on the verge of death, Motoki looks at me with eyes full of begging and imploring. I understand. I'll surrender. So, please, just my life. No, you're not worthy of my trust. This pig tried to swindle me. And because of his treachery, many of my subordinates, which I shouldn't have lost, paid with their lives. At once. I'll fetch the true core at once. Please, allow me to become part of the Asta Empire as a lowly foot soldier. I declined it just now, didn't I? Why aren't you and I friends, Shin-tan? Oh right. If you turn me into your subordinate, you'll be able to do with my selfish body as you please. Crescent moon / I bisected Motoki, who kept prattling nonsense until the bitter end, with my growth lance. I believed him to be a cunning, black-hearted pig, but why did he think that he'd be able to change my feelings with those last words of his? Oh well, time to move on to the next phase. Yataro will take control of Motoki's sectors. Use the bloodkin as you see fit. I order Yataro and also send my bloodkin, who have nothing to do, into the sectors formerly ruled by Motoki. Tusk, broadcast the video we prepared earlier. I give Tusk the go to execute the next plan. After having finished handing out most of the instructions, I used my smartphone to check out the video we recorded in advance and which I had Tusk submit a little while ago. A silver-haired Demon King aka me is shown on my smartphone. I'm Demon King Shion of the Asta Empire. This is a warning to all humans and Demon King living in and around the Toyama Prefecture. You were able to confirm our country's might with your own eyes, right? Starting from now on, the Asta Empire will take all former domains of Demon King Motoki. We are the ones who killed him. Therefore, we hold the right to take his sectors for ourselves. If by any chance looters should show up, I promise you that we'll destroy all their forces at highest priority. I hope you choose your actions wisely. And then the video blacked out. Our massacre of Motoki and his forces has been streamed to the whole world. As far as we could tell, even the human media has picked up on it. In addition to our own broadcast. This was one of the big reasons why I had my forces annihilate Motoki's forces with an overwhelming might. The goal was to detain any third party by displaying our absolute power and our handling of traitors. I wonder how much of an effect it's going to have. If looters actually show up and we continue to stay true to our promise by eliminating them, it'll likely turn into a strong deterrent. And there existed another reason why we annihilated Motoki's forces with such overwhelming might. Now then, I wonder whether it's gone well. I took out my megaphone while silently praying for its success. Chapter 295, The Beginning of a New Era. This is a message to all humans of the Toyama Prefecture from me, Shion of the Asta Empire. The words I'm going to say next will be streamed to the whole world through Tusk's drone that's filming everything. Moreover, what's been broadcast isn't just the video we've prepared from our side. We've also confirmed that the humans' media has filmed the battle between us and Motoki and broadcast it over their own channels. You were able to see the outcome of the battle between our country and Demon King Motoki's forces, weren't you? From now on the Asta Empire is going to usurp all of Demon King Motoki's domains. I informed you earlier, but if anyone should get in our way, we'll eradicate them at maximum priority. So, what's going to happen if no one interferes with us? The answer is obvious. We will move on to gain total control of all remaining land in the Toyama Prefecture. I confront the humans of Toyama with an actual declaration of war. I'm looking forward to meet all of you on the next battlefields, is what I'd like to say, but if possible, I'd like you to lend an ear to me. I breathe in deeply. How do you humans, the members of law, perceive us demon kings of chaos as foreign invaders who suddenly invaded your world? No, I think many of you already know, but us demon kings used to be humans, just like you. And exactly because we used to be humans, I believe it's possible for us to understand each other, to talk with one another, like this. At times we might fight each other because of conflicting interests. No, if I had to be precise, we have no choice but to fight each other. I unintentionally end up smiling wryly at my own words. We can understand each other's intents and wishes. In that case, it should be possible to communicate with means other than battle, right? I have founded a country called Asta Empire. Well, the Japanese government likely doesn't approve of it, though. Either way, let me ask you a single question now and here. Why do you think I founded a country? There's a meaning to my words, right? I continue talking while driven by anxiety. Do you think I founded a country on a whim to show off? That's certainly not the case. I established a country to compromise with you humans. All the humans who surrendered to the Asta Empire are safe and lead a wholesome life. Once I snap my fingers, the stream switches from me to the residential area within my domain. I've listened to the request of the humans who surrendered, my citizens, and built schools inside my domain. Right now it's centered around agriculture, but I've also prepared an environment allowing people to work. I have assured those who hate strife that we won't force them on the battlefield, and we haven't treated them inhumanely in any way. You ask why? It's because the Aster Empire is a nation. Upon another snap of my fingers, the stream switches back to me. Ladies and gentlemen of Toyama, what's going to happen to you if you fight against our Aster Empire? I believe it has become clear if you've seen the fate of Demon King Motoki, who fought against you on equal footing. Thus I recommend you as Shion, the ruler of the Aster Empire, surrender. I'll give you a grace period of 1 week. Be aware, I'm one of those rulers who prepares his country for turbulent times, so even if you refuse for argument's sake, I'll be willing to make the most heartless decisions for the sake of protecting my people. I announce once more after getting my breathing in order for a short moment. We've overrun Motoki's forces with crushing might. For this sake, once again, the grace period will last 1 week. If you have hardened your resolve to surrender as whole prefecture, come to Toyama Fortress within 1 week. Anyone wishing to surrender as an individual level, come to my domain after disarming yourself. And let me pronounce this at the very end, if there's no response whatsoever after 1 week, I'll take it as a breakdown in negotiations. I hope that you'll choose wisely. When I lift my hand after saying everything I wanted to say, the red lamp of the drone turns off. Okay, I think I've done all I could. All that's left now is to calmly wait for the answer of the humans in Toyama. Exhausted from making such a speech which I'm not used to, I return to my domain. Section 7 days after the death of Motoki, representatives of Toyama's humans came forward with a capitulation. 1 month after this, the Aster Empire has finished taking control of the entire Toyama prefecture. It's unclear whether it's been an effect of my speech last month, but all influential demon kings in Japan, beginning with the 13 evil stars, have successively proclaimed their independence as countries. And then, 1 year later, all smaller demon kings and organizations in Japan had been absorbed or annihilated. This spelled the advent of an era where few powerful entities, be it the countries founded by mighty demon kings or human groups with countless high-level humans, vied for supremacy. What's the situation in Japan? There are still some smaller skirmishes, but no big wars are going on anymore. Canon answered my question. How are our people faring? Some are complaining about a lack of entertainment, but generally everyone seems to be satisfied. Mrs. Tamura answered. What's the state of our defenses? Let's see. No large-scale invasions have occurred during the last month, so our forces are somewhat bored. Yataro replied. Is the leveling proceeding smoothly? All of Nagata has fallen in the hands of the humans, but we've found some nice farms in the Nagano prefecture, answered Rina. Today is the day of our regular, monthly meeting. All of you, keep growing and evolving without ever being content with what you've already achieved. I desired freedom, chaos, and creation on that day. After getting through various difficulties, I founded Aster Empire, the country for the sake of fulfilling my ideals. I'll survive this world for the sake of enjoying a free life. I aim to become the strongest demon king on this land, Japan. Author's notes. Thank you for reading thus far. This spells the completion of the first part of Dunbat. I already have ideas for the second part. I plan to focus on wars between countries more than I've done so far, but I'll stop releasing new chapters for a while, since there are various matters I'd like to consider first. I ask you for your understanding, even if it might inconvenience you, the readers, in some way. End of Volume 7.